War just a couple of weeks to go, and now Hero up to 1, looking good in Game 4, and having his moments in Game 5 is once more not able to close it out. Maru is very likely to advance into the semifinals, as Hero is just broke. He's running out of steam. These are the moments where, as the brothers play, just gonna try to get a few more disruptors, because you always believe that a magical Nova can turn things around, but 12 Zealots, 3 Stalkers, 4 disruptors, it's simply not going to cut it. Hero doesn't even have a single observer. Don't forget there are ghosts for days as well that have cloaking. This is going to be a zombie grab, but Maru is looking good here in the ESL Spring Championships. He's already guaranteed of going to the Esports World Cup. 1 Nova does not go up, but Maru will advance into the semifinals, and that means that Hero is going to have to work a little more in the future and hope that certain things don't play out in the worst possible way.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be paying attention to those points from now on. Another Nexus will fall. Disruptor's not going to get the shot. Hero did take out a planetary, but it was costly. It doesn't matter as much to Maru as he has 5,000 minerals in the bank. And Hero just couldn't really complete it with the carriers. Overexerting himself earlier on as well, and this is a bloodbath now. There is the official tap out as Maru successfully gets the 3-2 and advances.
GG, Papi, GG. Sorry, I was just setting things up. Sorry, I was just setting up things on my end, trying to sort out some of the overlays and all that stuff. But GG, Maru takes it. Oh my god. Fun fact, I have not been able to enjoy the mainstream. This entire weekend we've been casting, we've been busy with the knockout bracket, with the open stage, and finally, I can watch some StarCraft. Finally, we can watch some StarCraft. We missed out on the first series. Maru vs. Hero went all the way to the ace match, and Maru did take it to the end. GG. I'll be honest, I was cheering for Hero. I was cheering for Hero here. I wanted Hero to get his revenge. I mean, at least it went to the ace match, right? At least it went all the way to Game 5. But I was hoping that Hero would take it in the end. GG, Papi, GG. And you know what that means? No more Protoss. No. Oh wait, what's he gonna say?
Once again, as he moves on to the semifinals this weekend here in Dallas. Let's first just hear how he feels after that victory. A very hard-fought one indeed. 이제 다시 한번 또 승리를 거뒀습니다. 김주호 선수 상대로 승리를 거뒀는데 지금 소감이 어떠신가요?
오늘 솔직히 이길 줄도 몰랐고 기대도 안 하고 왔는데 이렇게 이해돼서 너무 좋고
Welcome back.
많은 분들이 와주셔가지고 더 힘나는 것 같습니다.
Yeah, honestly, I can't say that I was expecting to win today. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I'm happy for the win. But also, thank you for this large crowd that's been cheering me on.
Oh, let's go.
That has absolutely helped in this victory
the crowd
today. Now, I want to talk about the fact that we saw them go over. Maru went over and had a little bit of a chit-chat. Hero seemed a little bit flustered after that chat. I want to know what they talked about. 경기가 끝나자마자 이제 악수하러 가셨는데 약간 얘기를 나누신다면 김주호 선수가 굉장히 약간 본인한테 실망하는 표정을 지으셨거든요. 좀 어떤 얘기를 나누셨었나요?
그냥 준호 형이 캐리어 안 하고 지상 유닛 할 거리라고 얘기해가지고 저도 그랬으면 졌을 것 같다고 했습니다.
Yeah, I just heard Hero say that, you know, if I probably just went back to ground units instead of the carriers, I probably would have won. And I told him, yeah, you probably would have. And that's why Hero wasn't feeling too good about that one. Now, obviously, this is
the crowd. Can we spot anyone?
Hero, how is he feeling about the rest?
I know that Nish is there. I know that StarCraft Historian, I think, is there. Some other people.
이번 주말의 경기에 대해서는 좀 어떻게 예상을 하고 계신가요? 우승까지 한번 자신 있게 생각을 하고 계신가요?
Also, it's great to have Chober back.
원래라면 자신 있을 것 같은데. 저 세랄 선수가 좀 무서워가지고 그냥 좀 열심히 해봐야 될 것 같습니다.
Normally, I would tell you that I'm very confident, but Cyril is a very scary player, so I'm just gonna say I'm gonna do my best this weekend. That's it from Maru once again as he moves on to the semifinals this weekend here in Dallas.
GG, Papi, GG.
It could have gone either way here, but Maru is able to be victorious.
If anyone was able to watch Hero versus Maru, I'd love like a TLDR. Like we were busy casting, so we missed out on the entire thing. But apparently this game went to the late game.
It did look like in a lot of instances Hero could have taken it, but it's not to be.
Really amazing start to the series for Hero, and I feel like the way he navigated throughout with the aggression. I mean, I love.
But yeah, personally, like it would have been great to have seen Hero advance on, not just because, you know, I'm a bit of a Hero fan, but it would have been really cool to have seen a little bit more Protoss representation in the tournament. I mean, still to make it to the top 8 is still very impressive, but I'm sure people are still going to complain. I'm sure people are still going to complain. Be like, yo, Protoss only won in the top 8. It's like, yo, MaxPax doesn't even travel. What do you mean?
And his weakest part.
Well, some of those carrier fights towards the very end as well, it felt like the carriers did absolutely nothing against what was like 30 Vikings, etc. Fear Dragon. This one in particular, they just had no opportunity to do anything in this fight.
There is just a certain critical mass that Terra can get to where the Viking count just gets so high, it's one-shotting your carriers before they really get the big damage done. You're losing your mothership, you're losing your carriers, and suddenly your army just kind of disappears, and that's when even the Vikings landing is just going to be problematic for any of the rest of your army. It's so tough to deal with at that point, but going back to the interference matrices and everything that Maru was able to throw out in that 5th game, that was really the big turning point that really
I thought they were going to mention here in their analysis talking about the mass Viking that was there. I mean, to be fair, even Maru said it himself. Where Protoss players have to be a little bit more fluid. They spoke about how, and even Hero admitted how if at a certain point, once you lose all your carriers, to like transition and not commit to carrier and go into a ground-based army instead. And now suddenly the Terran player is stuck with all these Vikings. Suddenly they're stuck with like a subpar army, and you can catch them off guard. I mean, again, like Maru and Hero, they discussed it themselves, but
bringing it back and making it so hard to put him in the ground. That's what makes him special. I mean, we always talk about his defense and his survivability as being his special trait. He showed it there.
And in the interview, post-game interview there, Fear Dragon, we heard that, you know, was feeling confident, unless of course he ends up going up against Cyril. Do you think we're destined for a Maru Cyril finals?
Yeah, see, that's actually the funniest thing to me, is because I want to double check on the bracket and everything, but that's not even next to his next opponent. He's literally just thinking Cyril on the opposite side of the bracket. He's like, yeah, I don't want to say too much, but Cyril, and I'm like, man, I mean, what more could you say about the form of Cyril right now than just the fact that Maru is literally just looking at him on the opposite side of the bracket and be like, I'm still scared of him right now. And he's the furthest away he could be right now.
Yeah, definitely. His next opponent is going to be Bjorn or Dark, which I guess Maru feels confident about going up against. Even
interesting. Against Bjorn and Dark, I do favor Maru, but I think Bjorn has maybe the best chance in a TVT. I think Bjorn and Maru go back and forth a little bit more than Bjorn and Dark. So I do think that if Dark advances on, I think Maru's favored. If Bjorn advances on, then it's going to be a little bit closer between them. That's without looking at like head-to-head like stats.
Well, I think it is going to be no easy road for anyone to get to the finals here.
We'll see. Let's check in with that bracket then, as we do have our B.
Show us the bracket. Show us.
We know everybody that is in the round of 8. So already Maru has been able to move into that round of 4. We now next up have Bjorn versus Dark coming up later on. We'll have Oliveira versus Reina.
Oliveira versus Reina. Let's go.
World champions, or former world champion and the current world champion. And then we have Shin, aka Ragnarok.
I'm actually really excited for Shin versus Cyril.
What do you make of it, Fear Dragon?
It's definitely an interesting lineup. Oliveira versus Raynor is one that I'm pretty excited about. Raynor, I guess, getting that victory versus Spirit very, very recently there. So I think that's one to be on the lookout for, just because Oliveira has been an impressive result for me personally this weekend, because I know Oliveira won the World Championship and everything, but there was a little bit of a period where we were kind of wondering, okay, is he as good as we thought? And kind of fell off, but has been definitely showing up this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, of course. Our next matchup is, of course, Bjorn going up against
They glossed over Shin versus Cyril.
When we return, we have more StarCraft
So
action.
Shin is an animal. Shin, he's an absolute animal, especially in the ZVZ matchup. So we have seen Cyril fall to certain Zerg players in the past. Now, there's like a lot to go into there. On the one hand, you know, there was a period in time where like Solo was like the Cyril Slayer and like knocking him down over and over again. That is true, right? Like in a mirror matchup, like Cyril has shown a bit of weakness, not just against Solar, but against players like Wayne as well, and some other the European Zerg players that have been able to cause upsets. And Shin is very chaotic, and Shin is definitely a player that I can see beating Cyril. But an important thing to take note of is that after the previous season of WTL, after Solar had that kind of era of dominance over Serral, it does feel like Serral did change his play style. In ZVZ, Serral is much more aggressive. He's he's much more aggressive. He more often than not will dictate the pace of the game himself instead. And we've seen him actually turn the tables on Solar and some of these other Zerg players more often than not. It's been really cool to see Serral kind of evolve in ZVZ and become a little bit less reactionary. What are you playing? As in the past, Serral would try to scout and react, and he'd be sometimes caught off guard by things. But it feels like Serral has switched up a little bit, and now he's kind of forcing players to react against him instead, at least in ZVZ. So it's gonna be fun. I feel like it's gonna be a fun, fast ZVZ. It's not gonna go to late game. Oh, the PvP, classic and stats. I remember playing this when I was a kid, where you get a bunch of sticks and basically you meant to pull them out without collapsing them or something. I can't remember. Oh, what does he do? 어떡해. It's Mar versus Shin finals incoming. Oh, the dream. It's you have to pull out the stick without touching another stick, right? Is that it? Be very careful.
하나씩 빼면 되지 않나? 아 그래요? 이거 하나씩 근데 이거 너무 붙어 있어가지고 어떻게 해야지?
Did you get some food? I did not. Not yet. I mean, there's a break. Now is the time to get some food. True. I just want to catch up.
움직인 거 아니야? 안 움직인 거 같은데? 잘못 봤나?
Yo, stats. What's going on? You're cheating, papi.
봐주셨는데도
It moved.
어떻게 할 게 없네요. 이거? 이건 뭐야? 이 정도는 괜찮죠.
I could get food, or I could just watch this. Wait, you mean you're not supposed to just poke each other with sticks? Smooch.
잘하네요. 움직였어. 아니 어떻게 해야 돼?
Hold on. Need to make sure we're still on thingy.
너무 붙어있는데? 이거 처음에 너무 못했나? 이거 되나?
I don't even have food to get, is the problem. I can make some instant noodles. I can make some noodles, papi. I guess I should. I mean, we have 2 minutes. Yeah. They sure stick together. But yeah, I haven't actually been able to watch the mainstream at all. I have no idea what the stage looks like or what the people, what's been going on. So let me know. Let me know if you guys have been watching. Have I missed any fun interviews or fun segments like this? We've been casting, Pop. We've been casting. Now we can watch. Now we can chill. We can catch up. Alright, we'll get ready for the ZVT. Alright, I'm gonna go boil some water. I'm gonna go boil some water and I'll try to get some food. I might just get some cereal. We'll be back. We'll be back.
이번에는 진짜 없다. 움직인 거야 뭐야? 움직인 거 같긴 한데. 근데 제가 한번 움직였으니까. 오케이. 한번 봐드릴게요. 네. 잠깐만. 한번 봐드렸으면 안 됐나? 아니 내가 할 게 없는데? 그나마. 무조건 조금은 움직이는데 이 게임이. 너무 대놓고 움직인 거 아니야? 제가 졌습니다. I'm rude. 게임이 아니고 이제 스타2에서 만나도 이 결과였으면 좋겠네요. 뭐 스타2에서는 반대의 결과가 나왔으면 좋겠네요.
ESL StarCraft 2 Masters is brought to you in part by Monster Energy and the United States Air Force.
Welcome back as Protoss is erased once again from a tournament, and now we've got ourselves the real races to be able to figure out who's going to become the champion, the king, the victor overall. Joining me to my left-hand side, I have Rotterdam as well as State. We now have Dark versus Bjorn on the way here to figure out if potentially Bjorn can directly qualify himself into the Esports World Cup, or if Dark can put a stop to that. Now, the crazy thing about this is, of course, we take a look at Dark. Technically, Bjorn's road has been littered with the bodies of Zerg, but none have lived up to the name, the pedigree of someone like Dark as we get into this Rotterdam.
Yeah, Bjorn is having just one hell of a run. Don't forget that he started in the very first round of the open bracket. Some people even feel that's not even the same tournament anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have to win so many games and you have to battle your way through that knockout bracket. But he's here, he's done incredibly well. I feel like there's no reason to assume that he can do it against Dark. I think it's an alright Mapu as well in a best of 5. Dark is an absolute beast, and Dark has played well as well so far in this tournament, but I kind of come into this a bit 50-50, but maybe you feel different.
I feel about the same. I mean, Bjorn has been on an absolute tear, but Dark is Dark. This guy is a big match player. He's got championship basically running through his veins. And if anyone could put a stop to Bjorn's insane run, I think it's going to be Dark with his crazy antics, maybe some Nidus play, maybe some Roach Ravager all-ins. We'll have to see what he brings to the table, but I think he has a really good shot at making it to the playoffs.
Potentially. I mean, it's fair to say, yeah, you say that, you know, the Dark is not an undoable fixture here for Bjorn, but it definitely is, I would say, the biggest test, considering the line he's gone through so far.
Yeah, but that kind of goes for most people that go up against Dark, right? There are very
fair.
few people in this tournament that's like, yeah, I like Dark because it could have been worse. Like, no, Dark is about as tough as it gets, but Dark is the kind of guy that you're going to run into in quarterfinals or even into the semifinals of tournaments like this. I don't know. It feels that if Bjorn can get things going, if you can just keep it together and gets a good start to the best of 5, a very solid first game, then I don't see any reason why he can't be at least very competitive here. Maybe even go all the way. Be a 6th story, man. Like, I feel like nobody has done that yet, right? From round 1 of the open bracket going all the way to the semifinals of a tournament like this?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the closest, I guess, would have been Nightmare like 2 like Atlantis.
But there wasn't semifinals.
But it was nowhere near, right? So anyway, yes, you're right. All right, let's get to it then. Let's rock and roll. It is time for our next quarterfinal. Dark goes up against Bjorn.
What did I miss? Oh, player shots. Let's go.
Also holds his ground to the third base, but not in range of the shield.
Oh, the compilation.
Are in such overwhelming numbers. What can Trigger do to stop this? There's spine crawlers going up in his main base, Zombie Grub.
Bjorn is all over the place. His army is extremely injured. Maybe he has to retreat from this battle, but look at the supplies. 60 supply difference. Bjorn in favor is going to take the 3-1.
It's Papi. Let's go.
Around
Bobby
the
Dark.
world, I hope you're ready for more, because we've only just barely scratched the surface of the round of 8. We now bring you the second match of the playoffs. Like the desk said, this is the story of the winner stage versus the open bracket. Who will actually make it further into the weekend? Dallas, get ready and make some noise for Dark versus Bjorn.
I've been there before. So he said it's a battle of who made it out of the bracket, who will make it further into, and he was going to say into the bracket, but he doesn't shake his head. Let's go. But in the moment, Chobra didn't want to say bracket twice, so he stopped himself and then he said weekend. I've done that before, yeah. But the disrespect.
The tournament so far. My name is Peter and I'm joined
No
here by
manner.
40. We are going to be getting ready to move into a Terran versus
Let's
Zerg.
go.
An important one as well. Dark, you can see just there, qualified for the Esports World Cup. Bjorn, probably safe on points, but guess what? Even better just to qualify right here and now. He's had close matches with Maru lately, so that's semi-finals.
Prime position, quarterfinals.
Well, even if he would be an underdog.
Interesting graphics. I haven't seen the mainstream at all, so
Not shaking hands on stage
really
this event. He just did it there too, so Bjorn is all set and ready to play some StarCraft. If he Dark is just a rougher matchup. I mean, overall in their history, 49-50 in favor of Bjorn in series between these two. They always trade against one another. It's going to be a fascinating match.
Yo, we got Wardy and Fear Dragon, Ravi.
And I really think it's always so fascinating.
I would love to one day travel to an event like this to meet up with like the NA boys, like Ravi and Chicken Man and Dave Testa and Nish.
Maybe the early game doesn't go
Like
I feel like Bjorn is the opposite.
there's a lot of like community
He's
members.
The player that
in the
whenever I
Americas.
think of him, especially Terran versus Dirk,
A lot of community members.
he gets a little lead in the early game and just everything snowballs in a matter of seconds. 10 seconds go by.
When you're ready,
and
we're
like,
here
wait a
for you,
second,
Max.
He just won the game. I feel
Beyond
like
saved my
complete
marriage. Oh
opposite.
my god. What? What does that mean? What was going on in their marriage, Bobby? What happened? What?
Love watching someone as creative as different. Who can
Beyond, what did you do?
situations work so well for himself. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's
Are we
dive
diving
on
in?
into it. It's post-youth to start off this series. One of the least picked maps in the tournament. I read Zerg in the top right-hand corner. Let's make some noise for Dark.
Give it up. Dark's macro, Beyond's micro.
And down here on the bottom left-hand side of the map, the last of the Shopify Rebellion players. We have our blue Terran player. He is Beyond.
He saved his marry. He saved it. How did he do it? We don't know. We probably shouldn't
Loving
know.
that crowd out there, but you know, Wardy, I really am also a big Beyond fan, and it's been a little bit rougher. I feel like, you know, Beyond has been one of those players that we've seen in the past
Look like
be
a
unbelievable. He's been able to make the deep runs. He's been able to make magic happen in those events to literally win a global championship and everything. But if you look at his results recently, I really feel like he has been kind of the master of round of 8. Round of 8 is kind of where
they're watching Nova.
things
I didn't
always
even know
seem to
that was a
end for him,
thing.
Whether it be in GSL, Katowice, Masters Coliseum, just across the board, Gamers 8. It's always the round of 8 that has been giving him trouble the entire past year. This is the round he has to defeat in order to make it further than he has in recent times.
He's had heartbreakers in the round of 8s as well, by the way. 3-2 against Maru and Katowice. I think back to Jönköping, where he was about to win Game 5 against Raynor. Whatever happened there, the units started to move command, and it was just horrendous, right? It was an awful moment, and it all flipped in that second.
Least played map in the map.
It's been frustrating being a Beyond fan, you're right. Like, it's been rough times. But that's the thing. He's always been looking
Gasless.
He looks good enough to go all the way. It's just about netting together one of those runs, putting it all on the line all at once. We'll see if he can get it done today against Dark. Tough opponent.
Shout out to the
here
Observer.
in this quarterfinal matchup. And as we get ourselves going, Post-Youth, actually very Zergy map. This is definitely a Zerg map pick here because you've got yourself the end base initially, sure, but then just in general, that gold base forward, yeah, there's some ledges and so on that the Terrans can set up on, but the map is pretty darn big as well. If this goes split, it's so difficult for the Terran to hold top left and bottom right, so the Terran really has to take one direction of the map. It gives the Zerg a lot of time to mine out the other side.
He's getting so much to himself right now.
It's a map that accelerates the late game, and it's pretty okay for Zerg in the late game too.
It's going to be really interesting that Beyond decided to let this through on the vetoes there just because we saw that little stat just above the player cameras.
Ooh, 3CC into 3 racks.
This is the effect of best of 5s because what happens is you go veto, veto, pick,
The
veto,
casters
veto.
aren't. I mean, we're popping off.
Pick, so Beyond clearly has one map he likes less than this, which I think.
I'm curious, is this going to be 3CC 3 racks or 3CC 2 on 1?
These first two maps.
Also, Gasless by Dark.
O2 is pretty rough because you get one of your really favorable maps.
Talk about what's happening. It's 3CC 3 racks. Let's go.
It's definitely an interesting little thing to kind of note. But yeah, that's why you're probably seeing Post-Youth a little bit more in these best of 5s because one of the races.
I feel for the Observer right now.
Yeah, we already see a third CC coming out over there from
the Observer is like trying so hard. Like, guys, pay attention.
On a map where you have an in-base natural and everything, additional barracks and stuff being.
I feel for. I'm assuming it's Mapo. I feel for Mapo.
Kind of annoying and just trying to get some basic.
But guys, look.
Information on out.
Now we gotta talk about
How do you
Post-Youth.
feel about like the defensibility of like third, fourth spaces and everything on this map?
I think it's pretty fine, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is still a map where...
So, something really interesting here, Beyond's build has been really trendy in TVP. So Beyond's build has been very trendy in TVP when it comes to this kind of more economic bio-based play. Once again, the Observer's trying to point it out. But this is very strong sim timing. We're going to be hitting a sim timing here. Third base is going to be taken momentarily as well. Very greedy opener here by Beyond, but again, you can get away with it on a map like Post-Youth. Likewise, Dark opened Gasless. Dark also cutting a lot of corners as well, being quite greedy himself. So far it's been a game agreed.
Look at that, by the way. 7 overlords on the way at once. That's kind of a crazy amount right away.
Oh, a
from
laser,
Doc,
is that
so
you?
Laser, are you there?
Oh,
Are
he
you
said
putting
it.
on the stage? Is the
A
camera
laser.
lying to me? But no, it looks like he's just gonna have a lot
talking
of those
about the
overlords
supply
finishing up,
buff.
freeing up a lot of supply, but it's just drones coming on out for now.
Yeah, it is. So, a few Marines poke out. One of the things Bjorn loves to do is he actually has a lot of little variations and little tricksy things that he does. And sometimes it's like, why are you out here with this many Marines? But, I mean, if you look at Doc's unit count right now, what does he really have?
Why is he out? Because of the build.
Yeah, a lot
Because of the 3
overlords,
racks.
that's for sure. A handful of queens obviously is going to be what would defend us if this went any further forward, but Bjorn knows that Doc is kind of playing like this, so he feels right now I'm safe enough to be here. A lot of Terrans would not be taking this control, and I kind of like it. You know, he's just checking for an early gold base. He's able to say, oh, if I find an active tumor spreading, then I can make something of that as well. So just taking some activity around the map. And
So he was hunting
building up as
overlords,
well, by the way,
hunting
from Bjorn,
overlords
so
and
the
setting up for his
aggression
follow-up
continues
push.
to come
Link
through.
Scout
The
confirms
Duckling
additional
engineering base
Marines.
in play, and now going into all of those barracks as well. Going to be a big part of the next few minutes.
It's so understandable to me that, of course, Bjorn is not going to try and move on to creep before Stim is finished up, before he has medevacs or
Nah, he'd
anything
do
like
it.
that.
Bjorn
But it
would-
is funny
Bjorn's
when
an
you did
animal.
Look at the unit carrying station. There was like 4 Lings, and then a lot of overlords and maybe like 2 queens that are on the front lines. That really was
we're getting
a
into our
kind of
5-rack
vulnerable
setup.
Dark where he was just making non-stop drones during that.
If this was
Medevac's on the
anything
way.
more aggressive from Bjorn, he would have been in a lot of trouble, right? The fact that this was just like a funky little move that Bjorn didn't get punished for anything, it was kind of fine. Obviously, Queens would have probably managed it if the Marines had gone any further forward. This next push is going to be interesting. This is going to be an attack from Bjorn where he's going to have medevacs. He's going to go before 1-1 combat shields, but he's going to be before 1-1 of the Zerg and way before even a Baneling there. So this could be very intriguing because he's very Marine heavy.
So he didn't
No
point out,
Hellions all game, right?
but again,
So
Stim
in
is
this
done.
next
Like,
couple
Stim
of
is already
moments,
done.
we
Like,
could
this
see
bio
Bjorn on a
timing
push
is
that could at least
brutal,
catch
and
a
Medevacs are
hat-trick.
about to meet
So
up
I'm
with
not sure
this.
how well prepared Doc is going to be for it.
Yeah, this is going to be really funny, though, because we even have Dark making 3 hatcheries at once. Do you actually feel like he could give up one of the hatcheries and just say, yeah, I can just need to cancel this as long as I defend at least 2 of them?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need all of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is why Bjorn attacks in the position he does. The most important base for him to deny is that gold. Don't give him the freest access point towards economy. But yeah, he's got other bases, so losing a hatch is not the end of the world. These
Up,
queens, though,
the
are kind
queens!
of on their own. Now the Lings start showing up.
Oh my
Finally,
God.
3 queens went down already. Bjorn will still a step backwards. The Lings will get a wrap around. That should be Bjorn's time to lift up and get out of there. But this was a pretty good fight because you got a few queens to start it off as well, and now Bjorn can pull back, and he's about to hit a power point. Combat shields, more Marines, more medevacs, first tank or 2. He can definitely go for a bit of a bigger push to keep on denying some of these bases if he would like to.
Yeah, this is really where he can actually start taking fights a little bit more in earnest if he wants to, and he may very well end up just kind of waiting.
Yeah, so this is the 1-2 punch of this build. Initially, we had the initial Stim timing, which did a lot of damage. It denied a base, it killed a couple of queens, and now we do see Bjorn building up towards the follow-up here. Now with 1-1 with combat shields, as I were mentioning, and Bjorn should be active here. He's pushing. He's sending it back.
It's going to be such a frustrating thing for Bjorn because he's going to have to be scanning all the way throughout for Banelings, potentially even just Lings scattered around the map to scout is one of the things you can do with Burrow. So there's actually a lot of potential here on a map that's large like this. Having burrowed units all over the place could be very, very cool. As you can see, Bjorn already trying to take a very forward position on the right side. He's defending with a few units very
I'm really
forward on the
excited
left
to see
side.
Bjorn here just
Taking
because I want to
fourth
compare
base.
him to
Tell
Spirit,
you
because
what,
we just
this game's
casted
got a lot of
Spirit
long
versus
games
Rainer.
against each other. This could absolutely be something that we're heading towards here because this is a map that
And
allows
Bjorn has been
for it.
so much more
I
active.
absolutely expect that possibility.
Oh, that's a kill!
Gold again. Again, that's nice, but there's a lot of other bases that Dark is still working from.
Yeah, another one of those hatcheries been taken at the very top left. But this bottom right-hand base is going to be a little bit harder to defend, and that's a lot of Marines, a lot of firepower. Dark is going to have to just give that one
again, Bjorn just being achieving so much with his heavy fire play, killing 2 bases.
Not even complete in the top left, so that is going to hurt Dark a bit.
It's very interesting because now you've got an expansion pattern for Dark that
300
you don't typically
minerals.
play on this map. Usually you leak down the right side from the top right and kind of take those bases, and then you take the top left when the Terran's busy down the bottom right. In this game now, you're kind of playing across the top, and in a way that's kind of cool because I guess the Terran can't push across into you as easily. Like there's no direct, like where do you go as the Terran? The closest base is that kind of 4th base in the center, but that's quite deep on creep and everything, so that's intriguing. I guess you just got to be super careful you don't let Bjorn dive in on the right side even deeper. As we actually see Dark on a bit of a counterattack here, and he is going to start to find some SDVs as they are not pulling
decent
away on
run
that
by...
right side.
Oh, we didn't get in!
Widow Mine on hold position, apparently
Oh my
buying some
God.
time. We've got Banes in the main as well, and that's going to be a bunch of SDVs dropping 16 fall. Honestly, felt that could have been a lot worse as we actually still have one Ling left over.
It could have been worse, but 18 SVs, that's pretty good. That's pretty necessary. Like, Dark has been on the receiving end for these past couple of minutes. Like, Dark has been taking it, but no, we're fighting back.
So effective.
Get a run back.
Dark keeping Beyond at home that entire time as well. So the little bit of creep spread that he can get going through the center and the sides.
Yeah, it's important that we point out the creep as well. Like, Beyond has been denying so much creep on the right-hand side. Like, he has control. He denies the goal base as well. Like, Beyond's map control on post-youth is really impressive because it's so difficult to get map control in TVZ from the Terran side.
Obviously, Dark getting into a comfortable spot, right? He's getting all the upgrades and everything he would like to play with. Beyond has to make a decision of what point does he want to go beyond the bio-tank force. Like, when is he going to stay?
Like, once he's denied the goal base, he's just never going to let it get up.
I don't think he needs to just yet, but it's definitely going to be ticking towards that moment as Beyond just stands there and fight. There's only one Bane, unfortunately, for him. His Widowmines eventually do pretty okay. There's a counter-attack as well. He's got Marines nearby. They should be able to get there to defend. There's a lot of choking here, and these Lings need to turn around. Dark is clearly distracted. Don't get me wrong, he's gotten a lot of STVs here, but he also lost a lot of Lings for it, so it's a little bit of a win, but also a bit of a loss. I don't think Beyond should be too upset. Yes, down on workers, but his army supply leading. I think it's okay for Beyond still.
Yeah, I think so too, and I really think that Dark, like you were saying, got a little bit distracted because there was the attack at the front. There was also the double medevac drop.
Oh god, he just wants the gold.
So then also trying to deal with the Lings.
Dark has just been trying to take the goal base the entire time. Ling Bane run by. This time we're in position. Oh, no reaction.
He's trying to control his army in the front, losing a lot of those Marines from the Banelings. Parasitic bombs also coming out on top of those medevacs. He does pull out the 2 parasitic bombed medevacs. The rest of the Marines in the healthier ones.
So a big moment right now is going to be the ultras. Like, we have ultras on the way for Dark, which is really cool, but the problem is the creep. The problem is that we have no map control right now, so being aggressive and being active with these ultras is going to be quite difficult for our Zerg player. Like, Beyond has been doing such a great job at just not just denying bases, but just keeping Dark like pinned back at home.
Tell you what, Beyond is starting to do a very good job of continuing to deny creep. There's nothing in front of this base here, so that's a great pushing position. And even in the upper left, I don't feel like that creep is super far forward. It's a couple of creep units deep, right? So it's possible to kind of break up here if Beyond wants to. And that's one thing that will become more of a factor the deeper that this game goes. As Beyond continuing to bio it up with mines at the moment, still yet to kind of make that bigger set attack for himself.
Yeah, kind of
all the bird baits.
Some burrowed Banelings that coming into play there for Dark. We'll see if he ends up getting to leverage those later on as Beyond makes the push out across the map. This is definitely a map where there's
bloody
a
game
lot
so
of those
far.
choke points around ramps and everything. So burrowed
I don't know if you noticed.
so effective, especially since Dark doesn't.
Beyond hasn't been making SCVs. Beyond, he cut workers at 64. I don't think that's intentional. Like, Beyond, he lost a bunch of SCVs earlier and he hasn't been rebuilding them, which is concerning me a little bit. I do think that Beyond has the advantage, but that low worker count is a little bit concerning to me. I mean, he's not expanding, to be fair, but yeah, he's staying on a low economy.
Yeah, that Night Swarm going to be so threatening. We saw how effective Dark can be with those Night Swarms.
Oh, he catches the Banelings!
He catches all of those burrowed Banelings on the ramp. Beautifully done there by Beyond. I see a lot of red dots on the bottom right-hand side, so it looks like Dark is getting ready to have some vision in the bottom right. I also see a lot of drop overlords being morphed right now, but Dark may just be a little bit more concerned about the army showing up at his front door, because this is not just a light pressure arm anymore.
Yeah, we spoke about it. Like, now that sure, there are ultras out, but like, we can't fight off creep.
Why aren't we going to late game? Like, Beyond is just chilling on bio mine. Yeah. Dark has a few ultras, but even then, it's like his army is like not super late game when he's making dropper lords. Like, he kind of doesn't want to take up too hard either. Now the Hydrogen's on the way. That's a big step towards lurkers, which might be something he wants to head into. I can't imagine what else you're going to add the Hydrogen on at this point. Nice scans again from Beyond. He's been so good about those burrowed Bailey's so far, but how ready is he?
The dropper lords are coming in
his base while he's pushing in different locations. Beyond now gonna have to deal with that. While
I'm curious if Beyond commits.
Fighting well on the gold, which he's looking to deny for what, the 3rd time this game. Blinding Cloud coming down as well. The ultras will continue.
Yeah, really nice kiting.
Lings on the picture-in-picture. Honestly, not doing that much. So Beyond able to control back at home, able to deal with this army here so far. And he does keep on pulling back to his tank and his mines. Kaboom!
Oh my
god!
And the
Zerg army is getting a little bit blasted.
That was absolutely phenomenal from Beyond, managing both of those fights at the exact same moment. And literally, I'm seeing moments where he's pulling the SCVs away as he's also spinning up his army at the front lines and starting to do the start step back micro. Beyond a master of that micro, a master of that control. Absolutely tearing through.
Again, the biggest problem right now for Beyond that we mentioned before, now he's making SCVs, is his economy. Like, Beyond has been trading very well. Like, it feels like Beyond is playing on a knife's edge right now because of his low worker count. Like, he needs to trade as efficiently as possible, and he has been doing it. But if he takes a bad fight, like, things can go and take a turn for the worst very quickly for Beyond.
A very important stronghold for the Terran once they get that up, so That's going to become a priority for Beyond fairly soon. We saw a little bit more action in the base.
Say mules, Papi,
on
true.
that picture-in-picture, but it looks like the drop lords are more or less out of love right now. And we're still just chasing away, like I said. Beyond, put some attention over here, get that base up. Feels very important. These Widow Mines not borrowed, but there's still no choke points about it. I mean, Beyond's still not really paying attention. Again, there's a lot going on, and it's shown by the fact that both players have missed moments in this game.
Yeah, this is going to turn into a really weird situation now, because you were talking about how this is the abnormal expansion path also for Dark, and he is starting to grab some of those expansions on the right-hand side of the map, but Beyond is expanding further and further up toward the top left, and that is where a lot of still Dark's more recent bases outside of that right-hand
decent catch
is. So Dark is having to defend this left-hand side, but as soon as he's able to defend it, he can start immediately putting pressure onto Beyond's side of the map.
Yeah, Beyond going to stand here and fight that one Ultralisk, and still on the right-hand side. This gold base is in trouble. It's
Dark is out of position. He's coming with slow Hydras.
Why is there so much stuff? Because Beyond is refusing to tech, and so it's kind of a little bit more than Dark is used to deal with. Now he's starting to rectify that, getting more units back on the right-hand side. He is once again going to push onto the gold, and Beyond is not allowed to get that fifth base. We've seen it throughout the weekend. The emphasis on not letting the Terran have a fifth, that has been such an important point of contest for the TVZ matchup. So if Beyond can get that gold base up, he is absolutely rocking forwards, but that is his next big hurdle. He needs to get over it at some point soon.
It's so tough. Dark has been so aggressive, and I have to say, even from the early stage of this game, the Ling run buys have been relentless. Now going into the continuous drop overlords into the main base, into the natural, into the third base, have been so annoying. There's a lot of supply that Dark's not going to have here for the army fight. You can kind of tell it's mostly just the Ultras, a handful of these Banelings, a lot of the Hydras on the right-hand side over here, and they are getting some good damage done. Not a whole lot to defend over there. The drop overlord Lings are not actually doing anything right now, though.
Yeah, they're just that chilling. A couple of Banes get very close here, but we're
like holding my breath.
putting in work. Gonna start losing his CC. That's
Marauders, they overextend. Hydras, they're breaking through.
Money to rebuild on the back of this.
Something that I'm a little bit shocked by is
now and then just get himself a bit of time. Again, the lack of that fifth base is definitely struggling. Losing a few STVs here will not help him either. And I think he is just starting to run into a bit of trouble.
Yeah, you can see the economy. Like, Beyond, he barely has any workers, barely any bases. He's being outscaled, Papi. I was going to say that I'm surprised that after the Ultras were revealed, we never made any ghosts. Like, we never tried to take in that direction.
A single Ultra just taking on a handful of these Marines as the Lings come in, just swarm through, take out any remaining Marines there, take out the SCVs. Lings and Hydras on the south side of the map also getting very, very solid trades.
Yeah.
And that is just too much. Dark overwhelms Beyond in game number 1.
Does a fantastic job of keeping himself in a good position, put himself, defend on both sides. There's definitely moments where Beyond nearly...
Basically, what was happening is that Beyond was basically all in. Like, Beyond was refusing to tech, and he was refusing to really expand too heavily there. And again, because of his low economy, because of his low tech, like, eventually he was barely outscaled there by Dark. GG.
Get a better army. Like, I've had Ultras out, right? And Beyond never really made that move. It was just Biomine. I think that's the only stumbling kind of block Dark came upon. And otherwise, like, he played a very good game.
What he's talking about how like he's trying to emphasize the fact that Beyond didn't tech, but a big reason why he didn't tech was also because of his economy as well. Like, he didn't have necessarily the money or the bank to tech and to switch into the Ghost Academy, into Ghost production. But that's like intentional. Like that was just how Beyond was deciding to play. Like, it was just it was like hyper aggro, like purposely so from Beyond.
At the end of the day, even though Beyond put up a really valiant effort in a lot of that, I mean,
and to be fair, he almost broke Dark.
Example of it. Beyond really not losing a whole lot in that situation. Still, at the end of the day, Dark managed to just overwhelm it. What's actually really cool about that game is there wasn't just one fight where you can point out and say, yeah, this is where the entirety of the game shifted into Dark's favor. It was a lot of just gradual fights, little victories, and slowly but surely you saw Dark just climbing further ahead of supply, further ahead in economy, and again, further ahead in the overall mining.
There's definitely an issue at the end that Beyond just bled out a little bit too much.
Well, there's never
eco as we get ourselves up and ready to go for game number 2.
But yeah, that's why Beyond is a lot of fun to watch as well, just because of his hyper aggressive style. Like, it does look really cool, and he was like, if you remember, he was killing bases, he was denying bases, he was denying creep as well. But at a certain point, like, Beyond slowed down. Like, at a certain point, he slowed down, like, because Dark was able to just stabilize, get into his ultras, expand, take the goal base.
Going to be for a lot of pride as we move into map number 2, Crimson Court.
Oh,
Starting out here on the
Lechito. Hello, Milk.
left-hand side of the map, we have our red Zerg player sitting up 1-0 from Talon Esports. He is Dark.
In the top right-hand corner, our blue Terran player from the Shopify Rebellion, we have Björn.
Yeah, Björn. Milk, why aren't you here? Why aren't you at Dallas?
Ooh, okay, so we got our low ground barracks. Now, we've been seeing more
T-Rex
and
Reaper.
more Terran players do this recently, the kind of low ground, 2 racks, barracks. I feel like this has been getting more and more popular the last couple of months. What kind of is like your thought process on it?
Super interesting, because obviously this was all the rage, let's say, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Coming into Katowice and so on.
A year ago.
Now, you know, the last couple of months we've seen less and less of it, when it was more like a mixed-in build still here and there. And then this event, it's been played a lot more than I expected it to be. You know, we saw Kyo using it like every game against Raynor. But what's interesting is that when Kyo played against Dark, he never did it. So he never felt like it was a good idea against Dark, but he did against Raynor. Interestingly, Björn feels like it's worth mixing in here against Dark in this game number 2 now. Obviously, overall, and actually he's going triple barracks as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little bit more of an aggressive version of this, and that's definitely one thing we've
React
not
Reaper,
seen.
let's go.
We've seen 4 Reapers have been kind of the go-to, but a 3rd barracks puts the pressure on a little bit extra. I mean, hey, Björn is the man that got the Reaper nerfed in the first place.
Yep.
Let's see if he can pull out some micro here, because I do still like it. It's still a good build, and if Dark plays a bit too greedy, you can absolutely make the most of it. Let's just see if that will come into effect. And Dark is playing Gasless, which means he will not get link speed against this, but because you play Gasless, you've got a little bit more minerals to play with when it comes to getting queen production up and so on. So actually playing this in this kind of way is actually one of the ways people figured out to defend against the Reapers. Against 3 racks, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but it might still be okay with that queen count getting high.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked about it before. This is literally the unit that won Björn in
So I'm a little bit surprised they didn't mention it, but this build that Björn's doing, he popularized last year. I say last year, it was even 2 years ago in November of DreamHack Atlanta. So yeah, Björn, he popularized this alongside Maru with the 2x Reaper and the 3x and 4x Reaper variations as well. So Björn has actually been doing this quite a lot. He stopped in the new patch. In the new map pool, as they were kind of alluding to, this build did kind of die off. But yeah, it did recently come back, I want to say like a month ago. If you've been watching the ESL Open Cups, you would have seen Björn and Cure and a lot of the Korean Terrans have been doing it and mixing it in quite a lot more.
The front, it limits so much of what this Terran player can do. I think Björn's realizing he's got a chance to chase that queen down, though. He's going to get it in the main base. No transfuse, because that was the higher MG queen. Now these Lings in a bit of trouble as well. This is where the spine crawler does absolutely
yeah, he's going
nothing
for the queen.
That one Reap again.
Oh, the queen! It's off a creep! It shuts it! Is that game? That's GG! It's GG, Papi! No!
Drones are running the new
it's
queen.
over!
Be in trouble. And Dark, he gets a few Lings out. That will help.
The slow Lings! The surround! The surround! Get him!
In the next couple of moments, Queen on the low ground. Lings will get the trap. No! Reapers get away. And that was a bit chaotic. And in the end, Björn did lose quite a few Reapers from it. He got damage too.
Oh my god.
Wow, what a
calm down.
Of emotions there. Björn, like you said, does end up losing a handful of those Reapers, but even escaping out of there with as many as he did and still getting the trays he did. It wasn't so much a ton of drones, but he killed off a lot of the Lings. He killed off multiple queens, and he's still going to be
coming back
active
in.
And going for it. Still additional Reapers.
He's still making more Reapers.
Map, but just 2 at a time now, not the 3, because the tech lab is being built, and Björn is starting to think about the next stages.
This is the problem of losing those queens early, because now Björn just has those extra numbers to kind of bully a bit more. He forces cancel on this low ground. This is
spine!
getting out of control.
Oh my god, the unbow is brutal. The spine crawler is going to be shut down.
Away, so he wasn't even confident in being able to keep that alive. Björn is now just going to hop back up to the high ground, and again, this is just all that snowball effect. There's no queens in this main base currently, so Björn is going to go hunting. He doesn't want to get in too deep like he did previously. That's one thing he wants to be a little careful of. More Reapers still showing up. Like you said, there is add-ons now on the way, so these are going to be the last Reapers added on. But look at the value found. Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, 28 Lings, 2 queens, 3 drones.
Jump in the main.
That's brutal.
Dance because there is no threat of Ling speed, so these Reapers do not have that usual fear they're playing with. It's drones on the production tab from Dark, so if these queens can't keep each other alive, then Dark really ain't got nothing.
Yeah, it's so scary for Dark right now. You can see that even the Reapers using those grenades so effectively, continuing to stun them. The hatchery is getting down to the red hit points. It's There's no way he survives.
Well, there's a transfusion available, but I don't think
GG.
the thing is when we get GG called, and Bjorn is going to have.
Sorry, I was a little bit distracted by the time, but GG. Yeah, 3x Reaper. That was brutal. Like, picking up those first 2 queens was insane. As I kind of mentioned as well, like, the snowball effect was real, the dominoes falling one after the other. Bien joué.
We've seen this from him for so many years now, where it's just a situation where any normal player would say, yeah, I'm getting a nice little lead in this situation. And Bjorn says, I'm winning the game off of this now. Like, you've taken a little bit too much damage. I can seize this moment.
Kind of wild. Obviously, this first queen going down started all.
Eyes rolling. True.
Where it just adds up, because now this second queen got into trouble. It was slowing, so they were never going to come to the aid. Keeps that Reaper alive for a long time too, which is a big deal. Just extra damage output. Yeah, and then at the end here, just so many Reapers. He could have kept the hatch alive with transfuse, but if you drop the transfusions there, you jump into the main, then the queens don't have transfuse for each other, and then you just can't win because you're building drones because you need an economy, right? So that was the reason for the GG.
Yeah, it was a very tough situation from there, even though it did look like maybe, oh, the supplies are still even. Dark was in a
He still
very,
saved
very
his
rough
marriage.
spot. He knows that Bjorn is transitioning behind that.
I love that fanfare. I love that fan sign. Beautiful.
It was a really brutal spot, and Dark just wants to move on. He says, I already had 1 game on you. I won the macro game. Gonna make sure that doesn't happen again going into game number 3, but I just
change up Yandis.
Did not at all. All right, well, here we go. Game number 3 in the bottom right-hand side, trying to recover from getting reapered up in game number 2. We have our red Zerg player. Make some noise for Dark.
And up here on the top left-hand side of the map, representing the Shopify Rebellion, our blue Terran player, he is Bjorn.
Yandra.
Loving how loud that crowd has been.
Looks like another 2x Reaper
earlier, and just so many wonderful people out there in the Dallas crowd. So good to meet so many of you. Hope you guys have been having a good time there, enjoying the matches.
Amazing to hear how many people are here at a StarCraft event for the first time. It's freaking cool, man. It's 2024. You'd think it was like the drips and drags of like the StarCraft diehards. Been traveling to events
So
for 20
this is what's
years
scary
now.
about this opener for Bjorn is that or the 2x Reaper opener is that it could be 2x Reaper or 3x Reaper. You need to confirm as a Zerg player because both of them, they require different responses. So I love that after Bjorn wins with 3x Reaper, he opens up 2x again. I do like it. It's a really good way to play the series.
Listen to that. So many people coming out here for their first StarCraft event. That's so exciting.
That's more people than cheered for Dark.
Oh, no.
Right, just rub it in Dark's face.
Mate, calm down.
Well, we
feels
do have
bad,
that
man.
2 racks opening. Not going to be that 3 racks, but still going to allow Bjorn to put on a nice bit of Reaper pressure, and that may already just be very, very painful for Dark to face off against. If he's already just
the observer's pointing out that this time it's
how
not
that
gasless.
last game went. If the Reapers get even a little bit of damage over here, it's going to be quite annoying.
It is 2 racks, of course, not 3, so yes, it's going to be a little bit less pressure. I feel like there should be 4 Reapers because I feel like that's what everyone's been doing, but then Bjorn is usually the player to push the envelope and be like, hey, everyone's doing 4, how about I do 5? And I know, well, why do you do 5? Bjorn's like, I don't know, I just like to be different.
That's how many I had when I had killed the queen and just started snowballing.
Yeah, I just felt like a good time to build 1 more Reaper. I've never done it before.
So usually this is triple
Reaper. Timing
Reaper.
works out as, but I don't think you started 5th.
But you can make more if they take a 3rd base. The goal of making more is to deny the 3rd, basically, and contain the opponent.
This is a very different situation from the previous game as well, because Dark not only is not facing off against 3 racks Reaper, but he also is going to have Zergling speed and everything coming on out. This is going to be a very, very different situation from the last game.
He's making more.
Reaper, no,
I love it.
Did he cancel it? He canceled it, I think.
Yeah, canceled it.
Love it, love it. Still like it.
I really felt like Bjorn was on our side, but apparently not. I was wondering if this was more of a thing that people were doing when they were just in the right spawns, because that was kind of the case up until now, but this is obviously spawns where the add-ons will be exposed. 3rd CC and the factory coming up from Bjorn, so just continuing through and just looking for this cancel on the hatch. If you cancel this hatchery, that's a massive win with 2 racks Reaper. If you do this with 3 racks Reaper, it's kind of okay, like that's meant to be a denial. But with 2 racks Reaper, that's kind of wild. This Reaper just wants to get over there, it's cancelled, and that's a dead drone as well. Fantastic start for Bjorn. It's not like there's like roaches on the way and some big attack, it's just plain old link speed, so yeah, this really beautiful start from Bjorn. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Like 2 rack cheaper, the goal is to deny the third base. Like if you can deny the third, then you're ahead. So really nice start for Bjorn. Dark. This time he did invest into link speed, so we have link speed. Sorry, he did invest into the earlier gas guys, so he has link speed, so he can gain map control and expand. But good start for Bjorn.
Speed finishes up, and that means that Dark should be able to secure that third base location. He throws down another drone there, and is able to just continue droning on up and start getting his own transition set up.
Getting that already. You have a hatchery coming through, a couple additional queens coming out, drones on the way. And a few Zerglings continue to get into the center of the map, just going to go pick their way through a set of rocks. So opening up the map, that's what Zerg players like. Easier access, easier surrounds, and all of that potential. Third hatchery is, of course, finally on the way, so gets that going. As Bjorn, was that 2 engineering bays or just the
2
one?
engineering bays, yeah.
I just saw the one at the very end finishing, so yeah, it's just double engineering bay, everything normal. Of course, he was on a fast third CC, so it's just macro time for Bjorn. Nothing but macro from here for the next little bit.
Yeah, and I think that is something important to note, is that Bjorn did a great job in game number 1 with the micro and the macro, I should say, where he was able to take that to the later stage of the game. It was definitely a map that Dark was going to feel a little bit more comfortable on in terms of how the expansions and everything work.
Yeah, I wonder if Dark is going to be more embrace roach play now.
It's still worth mentioning that Dark looked really, really good as the game
like
went
he's yet to really flex that
stages.
here in this series, and I feel like that's how like he can get really comfortable, especially getting into a longer
How is Bjorn
game.
feeling about that late game stage versus Dark now?
I honestly think he'd be fine with it. Honestly, I think he can absolutely tackle Dark in the late game. Bjorn was one of these mesmerizing players a couple years ago who suddenly went from being this like mid-game, focused on always being active and micro and everywhere player, to all of a sudden he was like, hey, by the way, I'm going to just stop playing the mid-game and I'm just going to start camping. Everyone's like, Bjorn, you can't turtle. And he actually, for a while, was probably one of the best turtling Terrans out there. And it was like, what? You know, there was a bunch of games on Curious Minds he played against. I think of Reno and I think it was a Cast Civil War Chess Team League, one of those. And, you know, just so many times where he just slowed it down, played super long macro, and I was like, Bjorn, like, you're not meant to be that kind of player, but it's definitely one of the things he's perfected over a long time now, and it's definitely one of the things he's improved on massively, so I don't think he's afraid if he has to play long against Dark. This map's actually kind of nice for Terran in that respect because the bases are quite spread out, so you can actually really kind of with drops and kind of going left and right, really kind of pull the Zerg around a little bit.
Ravi.
And you do that while there's less avenues for attack for the Zerg, so while on post youth it was kind of Dark pulling Bjorn around a bit, I think it's more likely Bjorn would be pulling Dark around a bit here on site Delta.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities to continuously hit in a lot of different avenues of attack here for a Terran player versus a Zerg. A lot of the links going down over there, and that is going to open up opportunities for
Yeah, what they're referring to, because on site Delta it's so wide open and the bases are so spread out, like drop play is really brutal to deal with, especially in a longer game. We've seen like a lot of Terran players like pick Zerg players apart if the game goes longer. Armory's done, let's go!
Have really anything at all to deal with this. This is a terrifying push timing from Bjorn. 27 links, 12 queens is pretty sizable. He needs them to all be in position to fight this right now.
With 12 queens, we should be okay.
He looks
Should be.
Might just be okay here, but man, definitely felt scary. 3 Banes more from the
we hold?
The first as we push on in. Let's see what these links can do. Not much just yet. Going to dive on one Hellbat now. Bjorn will sit and he will fight as he has the Marines continue to pull backwards again with 1-1. He trades that a little bit better, but look at those queens go, transfusing each other up, and the wall of queens will hold.
Yeah, I think like 5 to 7 transfuses going down on one of those queens at the very beginning of the fight as those Marines tried to target fire it
Yeah, this
down.
is why like
Dark
Hellbat pushes versus Dark specifically are really brutal.
Bjorn forced back.
Just because Dark, he plays so queen heavy. I mean, in general, players like they make queens early on, but usually we cut queens at like 8. But we had 12 queens there for Dark. That is insane.
With how good Dark has been about those Zergling run-bys, I feel like having 1 or 2 of those
queens
Hellbat would have been really, really helpful.
Man, I'm actually a little bit afraid for Dark, I think, because I feel like there might be the slightest of timings where Bjorn might have 2-2 to 1-1 and no Baneloon speed. And I mean like slight. Every second that goes by without Bane speed starts up now, I think there's going to be like 10-15 seconds or so. And if that's the case, that would be a huge moment from Bjorn to try and just force the start of a fight. It's going to be very difficult to hit, and he might just not hit it because he's not expecting it, but possibility. Hydra Den coming down as well, so you see Dark heading in towards Link Bane Hydra is the next step. This hatchery likely cancelled. I don't think Dark's got much nearby enough, and it's obviously low HP, so we stim in. We're going to get this hatchery. We'll just cancel it instead of running the Link Bane down there.
Yeah, nice and easy there for Bjorn. Even gets one of the active creep tumors over there. Lots of queens to replace that. A single Reaper also tanking some of the damage on the front lines. Doesn't need any medevac healing on up. But the medevacs are going to load up and actually head over toward the main base. Spotted by an Overlord very, very quickly over here. So it's going to give Dark a little bit of time to react. It even has a Spore Caller set up over there. Queens from the low ground as well. Really, really nice position on this map.
Yeah, no Bane speed is the reason why I think Bjorn makes a move like this, because he knows the Banes won't get there quickly. So he just forces the Lings to come back.
He was talking about like a timing before Bane's speed finished, but Bane's speed is finishing up thankfully just in time as we're only going for draw play really.
It's 2-2 finishing. Okay, Bane's speed was pretty much done as 2-2 finishes. So it's not going to be that much of a problem as we do see these Queens going down. The drop actually stayed in towards the main base, so it's keeping a lot of the units over there. Now the Queens are going down because of the power of those 2-2 upgrades.
We need the Banelings!
A lot of these kills. The Banelings finished up. Can they reach these Marines?
Oh my god.
They do just about, but Bjorn has a few Marines left over, still fighting. A Hydra eats up the transfusion. We will get rid of every Queen. The Hydras that were freshly spawned. And now the tanks are here as Bjorn will continue to set up on dark side of the map.
And that hatchery, the Baneling Nest Wardy is right there at that hatchery. If he loses that, that's going to make things so complicated and so difficult for Dark. He's morphing in a couple more of these Banelings. It does look like the Baneling Nest is not going to get target fire down or anything as the hatchery goes down and Dark is going for the counterattack, but Bjorn is prepared at the third base, at the natural. And he still has that army on the other side of the map. He can continue to push if he wants to. No, he's going to go for the Lings that were going for the counterattack.
I think pulling back's fine here because it's very scary that those Lings become a flank, right?
Yeah,
and the last thing you want is to be caught like out in the middle of the map with those units. And
like another important thing as well here is that Dark just lost his third. He's only just now getting his fourth base up and running. His lava is quite limited here. His economy is not looking ideal either. That was a brutal push there from Bjorn, killing every single queen.
The timings from Bjorn are just looking good, right? I think that early game really threw Dark off. A lot of his timings has just been a bit later than expected, and that's why he keeps on struggling. That 3-3 now halfway done from Bjorn. He's going to have many more timings still in this game, and he's taking this whole opportunity as a chance to set up comfortably on 4 bases.
Those upgrades, he's been so on point about them, and I love that you point out the 3-3 upgrades because we have another little push out over here with the medevac drops in the top right. As long as it keeps these Marines alive, it's continuing to just do on the edge of creep pressure, clean up some of that, and then he times it out with his army in the bottom left with 3-3. This is going to be such a scary moment here for Dark.
Pulls back with those medevacs up that right-hand side. A couple of Widow Mines are going to start to get burrowed. Obviously, this is where Bjorn looks to split up a little bit. Love the retarget.
That's a kill!
That's a fantastic set of shots for the Widow Mines. The Lings are going to go down to the Marines anyway, so you love that. You can see Bjorn is set up on the upper right as well. I think Dark knows that this multi-prong is going to be coming, so he already moves into position as Bjorn stims up. Rolls into the Hydras though, and he will lose one full medevac. There's a bit of a momentum breaker from Dark, and that is huge for him because he was definitely starting to struggle a bit here. As Bjorn now is actually going to get completely jumped on over here. Dark realizes he will not stick around with the loss in the bottom left. And so, yeah, Bjorn is going to be pushed back. That one medevac going down, I think, gave Dark a bit of confidence and really allowed him to move into position. So
yeah, Dark, he's keeping up with the drop play at least, but Bjorn is the first to max out, which is crazy. Like, Bjorn should be building up towards a main push, and I'm going to be impressed if Dark can defend against this. Like, without any lurkers, I mean, the Hive is only just now finishing. Like, Dark doesn't really have much to hold on here. We'll see if he can.
Grouping up everything along this north side. Going to target fire down a couple of these Banelings. Widow Mine does manage to hit quite a few of those units, but a lot of Lings are still left over.
Oof.
Oh, the Widow Mines are beautiful, though. Fear Dragon dead center on the Lings, dropping the main base, 3-3 to 2-2. So the picture-in-picture shows you a lot of dead
units. Got to control
the Banes might catch here a little bit. Bjorn spreading out in the last second, and he will continue to run back with a 30 supply lead. He's run out of medevacs, though. No retreating now, just pure running away or turning around to fight. That's what he decides to do, and he does get a few kills. The drop still going in the main as Bjorn's overall supply definitely looking good. And Lurker Den is on the way from Dark. If he can just hang on to a couple of Lurkers, maybe he can draw this game out to a much deeper state.
He's definitely going to need to rely on them at this point. He does not have a massive bank either, so 11 Hydras may be on the way, but he cannot exactly fire up 11 Lurkers or anything along those lines. So this is going to be a bit of a tough moment here for Dark. Yes, a lot of Bjorn's Bioforce is still low on hit points from the earlier stage of the game from all those medevacs being sniped off as well, but Bjorn has a lot of fresh units ready to push as well.
He's going to come in on
I'm liking the tempo of Ravi and Wardy.
They are not here
I like
at all.
it.
Widow Mines will cover the entry, and this base goes down. It's kind of terrifying because the drones are there too still. Bjorn has no medevacs to speak of. He's just got to run. Widow Mine blows up Zerg and Terran alike, and he just has to get away. The low HP of those units is terrifying for Bjorn, especially with Lurkers out. That little bit of splash can go such a long way. This Marauder is fighting for his life in the main base, and the Queens cannot kill him. He cannot kill Queens. The fight that never ends. Well, I guess eventually the Queens win.
3-3 Armor Marauder. It does survive for quite a while against those Queens, but eventually it does.
That's brutal.
Like you were saying.
We can't afford any more Lurkers. We have 2 Lurkers on the way. We have no gas bank.
Really important base for Dark. He's down to just 4 bases. A lot of these bases are quite old at this point.
It's not ideal. Bjorn is going to be feeling comfortable to start taking a 5th as well, because Dark has not had a lot of run buys in this game, and anytime he's been across the map, Bjorn has been there to meet him, so he doesn't have that
Dark,
incentive
unfortunately,
to keep on being aggressive.
if he was hoping to get into lurker tech, he maybe overmade Hydras there. Like, we needed more gas. And speaking of,
once again, Dark will just run through into a less than ideal situation in terms of upgrades. I think in the end, Bjorn is just outnumbered, so he will have to lift up and get out. He really doesn't want to lose the medevacs at this point as well, right? He's lost the medevacs already. He would really like to keep the numbers a bit healthier this time. Of course, behind it all, we didn't really mention, but the ghosts are coming up. The cloaking is already done for those as well, so they are really well set. And that's, again, the benefit of what Bjorn has done. He's been able to very freely tech up during everything that's been going on in this game.
Yeah, and this is a big difference from where we saw in game number 1, where he really seemed resistant to get into that hyper late game tech, whereas Dark was adding on some of those ultras, getting into that later stage tech. Lurker number 1 does get very low on hit points, but not actually going to get picked off over there. Going to even end up retreating on back to a slightly safer spot.
Can we turtle? Can we stabilize?
Left-hand side.
We need more lunkers.
Tumors over there is going to also give Dark a bit of an advanced.
Again, I do feel like if Bjorn did pull his army together, he could probably break through one of these
He
bases.
would love to keep Dark on 4 bases.
Depending on how many ghosts he has.
He's threatening because he's obviously pressuring this right side. He's pressuring that bottom side. So he wants to stop Dark from getting more bases up or to kind of having a 5th.
That lurker count is getting higher.
On the way. It's not essential for him to stop this. If Dark sits on 5 and Bjorn's on 5, then Bjorn should be kind of all right with that. There's one tank here a little bit alone, so it will go down, and Bjorn loses a little bit of the setup that he had. The lurkers get further forward now as well. As we do still see a dive in the bottom left, we're going to catch Balins on the morph, which means they are not ready to fight. The snipe's coming through too, but units come around.
Oh, that's around
here from Dark, and Bjorn has to go running. Widowmine will try and free him out. The snipe's coming through, somehow getting off on a bunch of the Hydras. Now we got to boost on out of there. That medevac low, but does get away as Bjorn kind of gets away with that one. That was a good catch from Dark.
It really was, and I have to say though, a lot of the ghosts I think were on the front lines. I'm not sure how many of them actually managed to get out over there, as a lot of them did get end up getting picked off. Most of the surviving units were Marines and Marauders, so that's going to kind of hurt Bjorn. He wants to build up that ghost count. He wants to get to a solid late game army where he can deal with all those lurkers.
A little bit too busy to decloak.
I want to say, do we have like 15 lurkers? Like, we have 7 more on the way. I want to say maybe even almost 20. Jesus.
Still playing the split army. I wonder if
like Dark, he's
played a bit more kind of.
He's holding on.
Yeah.
He's catching the ghosts.
See this set of is going to be a little bit outnumbered, and so Bjorn will be losing out here. This kind of feels like the moment where you want to make a play on the right side, but I wonder if there's just too many lurkers there for that to be an option. Okay, Bjorn's going to have to pull home because Dark is on full-on offense mode. He's coming across the map, and he is going to get the lurkers into this deadly position between all the bases, so Bjorn has to fight his way out.
Yeah, we spoke about this before. Like, thankfully for Dark, Bjorn has been relying on drop plays, so we can deal with like one army at a time. Like, he's just like segmenting the army here of Bjorn, dealing with what he can now, pushing right on through.
Earlier on, he had I think maybe 7, 8 ghosts over there, and I think he got reduced down to 2 or 3. More of them ended up dying in the retreat on back. More that were getting
this is crazy. We're bouncing back.
End up also dying off. So there's a handful of ghosts, sure, but it's so difficult to break through this many lurkers at such an awkward angle.
No, it really is. All of his SimCity works against him as well. Dark, he waited and waited, and he sends one fatal knife wound into.
He's crazy. He was dead, by the way. Like, Dark was in a brutal position in this game.
From it right now, trying to fight his way out. Here we go. These lurkers on the low ground will start to get sniped. Liberators will siege up at the Lings, trying to protect them. Bjorn is going to battle his way out of here, but so much worker damage taken. He's down to 40 SCVs. If there's ever a time for Bjorn to slow it down and just turtle up, this would probably be it, because he just needs to find a way to survive right now. He's got the CC still. He's going to have to do a bit of replacement and resetting, sure. Obviously, I don't love it for Bjorn. It's pretty darn awful. He needs to get back and deal with all of these lurkers. He cannot let these get into better and better positions.
He's done it. He's brought himself back in.
Yeah, continued lurker run-bys, Ling run-bys. They're just making things so complicated. Bjorn already has his army out in the center of the map, so all these lurkers should end up dying. The command center, the orbital command, looks like it's about to burn down. 4, 3, 2, 1. Kapow! That's one less orbital that he has to work with. Another lurker managed to get a burrow off. Forcing another scan over here. Those scans really need to be mules when you're down to 29 workers.
Dark, really, again, he was in trouble, right?
That's a callback. Earlier in the cast, Wardy did that same thing with a mine shot.
Been ideal, but he got to a lurker count, and he knew the best
like
position to be with those lurkers is between all those bases where the Terran has to fight.
Pretty sure that's why Robbie did it now.
And if he has less units in one position, you just run up that ramp and fight that location. So Bjorn really is now in trouble. Dark found that moment, fantastically done to survive to that point because Bjorn was pressuring throughout. He was always on both sides of the map. He's going to run in over here and he's still going to find some value. This is going to get maybe an extractor, a few lings. Eventually, he's got to pick up and get back. But this is at least giving Bjorn some time to move around the map again. Bjorn's army supply is up by 20. If there's anything Bjorn has right now, it's actually potentially the chance to kind of get a bit more aggressive. Lurker does not go far enough away before being sniped down. We are going to transfuse here. We go for some queens, just getting whatever snipe damage we can get done. Once again, Dark realizing the problem is that maybe a straight up fight is okay for Bjorn. So he goes for the counter attack straight through the middle. There's a lot of Marines here. Is that enough? It might just be.
Yeah, a lot of the angles that Dark was able to find and force awkward fights on the defensive there for Bjorn, those bases didn't really get retaken. It wasn't like that low ground forward third base location. It's all along the line of the left-hand side, and with the planetary fortress and everything, it's so difficult to do those big run bys. Dark's counterattacks are simply a lot harder to get the damage done with right now. He kind of has to mount some kind of defense at the front line.
He really needs to hold on here, and it's becoming a little bit of a struggle. The Ghosts are sniping, and that's getting rid of a lot of the Queen transfusions, so the Lurkers will stop being transfused soon. There's a lot more Lurkers on that right-hand side. Bjorn just caught a glance at them with that
this
scan.
is such a tense moment.
Ooh, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. If Dark
As they're pointing out, like, Bjorn has no economy. Like, Bjorn is completely all in, but he can win a fight. He can take it.
He now has to break through on this bottom side. If he doesn't break through, he has to then bring it back and go after that army. This army's going to go for the fresher, more mining-focused bases now from Bjorn.
Yeah, we're just forcing the all-in.
Chance to go and jump on that army and clean it up. I honestly don't know the best move as he gets jumped on here. The base goes down already. What does Bjorn want to do? He's in a tricksy spot.
Single-digit worker count for Bjorn, and he's just making a single Marine, which is very telling of his economy right now. He finally sims forward, takes out all those lurkers at that location. Liberator siege up on the wrong side now for the moment, but at least gonna be able to help out a little versus these lings and banlings and these lurkers charging on forward. But Dark is overwhelming Bjorn forced to pick up and evacuate, but what is he evacuating back to? He doesn't have any economy behind this.
And Barony's gonna drop in
He's
and try
breaking
to
in.
his lurkers right now. The scan comes down. Bjorn is gonna get hit by the splash damage though, and it's not gonna be enough. The Lings flood forward, and Dark will defend his lurkers, and he will be okay here. He has done enough to absolutely close this out. As the resources lost are so close, it's been an absolute battering from both players. But Dark has done enough to get himself a 2-1 lead.
Dark does it again. Playing from a situation where things were looking a little dire, losing that fifth base.
Things were crazy. Like Dark, he had lost so much. He was beating out bases, beating out drones. He was down to what, 0 lurkers. When Dark was out of this game, the lurker den wasn't even done. By the way, it was crazy.
Survived just a little bit longer with those lurkers, and he made it happen. Wardy, he really made that happen.
It was. I mean, obviously Bjorn had a great start. He denied that third hatchery right off the
I do think part of this was on Bjorn. We mentioned at the time that when Bjorn was ahead and when he was taking into Ghost, Bjorn kept going for drops, and that was helping Dark more than anything, like far much more than anything, because Dark had to deal with, you know, like a couple of medics here and there. He would force lifts, he would just force Bjorn back, and he could just deal with like one problem at a time. We mentioned at the time previously where if Bjorn had pulled together his army, especially when he was maxed out, I do think he could have broken Dark. This was before he had critical mass of lurkers. But yeah, Dark, he held on. He held. He held to deal with the drops, got into lurkers, into more lurkers, into more lurkers. GG.
In that moment is exactly what you were saying. Then you can't snipe the lurkers down, and you can't just go running into that many lurkers in that kind of a position. So that was an absolutely huge moment.
See if we can see the moment here in the
replays.
replays.
Huge on both sides, but bigger for Bjorn. And he was just never able to turn that into.
It was after this moment. Like these drops
that was his problem. And Dark, again, because he's a master at playing in weird situations, low econ situations, bad situations.
This is when he caught the ghost. This is after the moment.
Just about survive. And this, yeah, where you saw a lot of the ghosts going down.
Yeah, really, really tough. And at this point, just getting between all these bases, making it so awkward. Even with all those lurkers going down, Dark already found the damage there.
Dark makes it to face up against Maru.
He just had to clean up
Can he make it?
And that ended up being enough. But that is now 2 different games where Dark has been not necessarily super far behind, but he has been in a at least somewhat weird spot after the early game stages where it looked like Bjorn was firing back. He was creating awkwardness there for Dark, but Dark still gradually turns thing around. In game number 1, it was a lot of the expansion pathing that Dark was forced into, some of the weird trades and advantages that Bjorn was able to get. Game number 3, it was a lot of those upgrade advantages and everything, but we just ended up seeing Dark still overcoming.
Yeah, it was honestly a really fantastic bit of StarCraft 2 because you just have Dark. You could
I was
see
gonna
where
say
he
that
was
I
in
would
trouble.
I would
You
have
could see
liked
the
to have
problems.
to have
He
heard
just
them
failed to play
emphasize
patience, right?
Dark
He
coming
waited
back a
and
little bit
waited,
more,
kinda
because that
see what
was
he needed
actually
to be
crazy.
doing, and then eventually he's like,
and
okay,
how
this
far
will go
behind he
right
was.
down. We've seen Dark do that so many times in the past, right?
Like whenever
Where
they said that they
across
keep
those
saying that,
different
oh, he was
matches
a little
in
bit
tough
behind. He was like, it
positions,
was
but
a bit of a
he's
weird
able to draw it
situation.
out.
Like
He's
no,
able
no,
to
no,
kind
no,
of,
no.
look
He was
for the
dead,
win
Shpa.
condition, and that is what a lot of the top Zergs do, where they have that little bit of survivability. They can just keep on hanging in. It's not looking great, but they know that one fight does exist that would put the opponent in too much trouble.
My heart goes
to
out to
recover from.
Bjorn.
Yeah, I really do love that about Dark. I've kind of
Oh,
talked
it's
about
the
it
family.
a bunch of times, but it really is
Let's
just that
go.
magic that Dark has, where he's able to pull those magical victories out of nowhere, kind of find those opportunities, like you were
Cute.
saying.
There was a really
seize the
similar
moment in order
situation
to turn a
when I
game.
was at IM Katowice. In the crowd, there was also like a dad and his kid, like and his child, and I was shocked to hear like the child. If I remember correctly, the kid he was asking his dad like, when is Shin coming out? When is Shin playing? And I'm like, how the hell do you know Shin? Like, like how's it? What are you talking about? He's like 8 years old and he's like a Shin fan. I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's really cool to hear. But like I feel like especially because like Shin is more of like a niche player. Like some of the more notables in StarCraft, like your Serals, your Bjorns, I feel like a lot of the mainstream fans of StarCraft, they know these names, and like Shin is a little bit more of a little bit more niche, a little bit more like of a hardcore fan that would know or be a fan of them.
Yeah, it's
So,
going to be very important as well.
it's cute. I
Dark's
like
gonna
it.
be Getting
very
into the
cute.
right headspace. Maybe he's also hoping that Bjorn's just going to be rethinking about that first game and that third game over and over again, maybe getting into a worse spot. But Bjorn, also a very, very experienced veteran of StarCraft. He's
Can
gonna
either of them
have
beat
his kind of
Serral?
methods and ways
Sure.
to try and solidify himself mentally, get ready to move into game number 4.
Oh,
Where he
the
is going to be
bacon.
down now 2-1, one game away from elimination, one game away from being robbed of that experience of getting to go to the
Unironically, I
like
think
you were
the
saying, to
the
that qualification
best
spot.
chance of defeating Serral
gonna
is
be the round of
probably
8-man again.
the ZVZ
Will
Mirror
Dark
matchup.
get to set up
Whether
a
it's
semi-final
Shin, whether
against
it's
Maru, by
Dark,
the
whether
way?
it's Raynor.
So the winner of this will play
I think I
start
favor
off
that
tomorrow's
more
games.
than
How about
even
that for a little
Maru.
bit of
I don't know.
I mean, either one of those players facing off
Because
against Maru, I feel like
Serral
it's going to be
is
an
scary
absolute
in
treat
ZVT.
to start the day of StarCraft tomorrow.
Especially
But
like
Yeah,
in
I think back to the Beyond Maru Katowice series.
I was gonna say
Really
against more
tough
standard
team
play,
to
but
beat.
even
It
against
was
like some of the
really,
more
really
unorthodox
good. I know
styles in
people don't like
ZVT.
mirror
I
matchups,
don't
but
know.
that was one of like the peaks of a mirror matchup in my eyes.
But the thing is, like, even though I'm like, oh, I think
away
Dark
from
has like a
getting
higher
back into
chance of being
StarCraft
Serral. I don't know if he
yet.
can,
From
if they can
DreamHack Dallas
face
at
off.
ESL Spring, ESL,
'Cause Maru's
SC2
crazy.
Masters Spring 2024 finals.
It's crazy.
That was the end of my sentence.
Yeah,
Once you say that tournament name, there's not much breath left in you.
I'm like, oh wow, you got the whole thing. I was mostly just perplexed and amazed.
Honestly,
that you managed to get the whole thing.
I was hoping you would like turn around and be like, "Whoa, you got it right."
Yeah, that's
But
actually
you
that's
just-
how I thought.
I work so hard to impress you, and it never happens.
I appreciate the effort, Wardy. But of course, these two players look like they are getting.
But yeah, I've been
ready
liking the
for
dynamic
next
between
game. Remember that
between
with the way
Wardy
that
and
those
Fear
map builds
Dragon.
work, game
I do
number
think that
1,
Wardy
was
can
gonna
pass
be
the
Dark's
ball
pick,
or
game
pass
number 2 was
the
gonna be Beyond's,
the mic
game
over to
number
Fear
3
Dragon a little
again
bit
gonna be Dark's
faster.
pick, and now we move into
I would like that a
one
lot
of
more,
Beyond's
but for the most part, they
slightly
work
more
well
comfortable map
together.
picks. It's going to be Alcyone as we move into the top right-hand side of the map. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 4, the Red Zerg, a player from Talon Esports, one game away from moving on to the semifinals. He is Dark.
If you're a fan of this man in the bottom left, it's time to make some noise because he might be in his final game.
Have
of
you
the
said I haven't
tournament.
slept yet?
Dallas,
I
let's
haven't
send some energy to Bjorn.
It's 8 a.m. We've been casting all night. What do you mean? We've been casting.
Unbelievable.
I believe there's an SCV on the map.
There is.
Oh!
And it's in the top left.
Oh.
In a very, very curious position.
3-Rax Reaper.
Building a second barracks.
Wait, no, sorry, 2-Rax.
What a thing to do when you're down 1-2, tournament life on the
He's
line.
crazy.
That would be round of 8-man once again. And at the moment, Dark is on the way over there. I don't think you will see if he continues to stick to that
That's
rally
so
point.
close.
Yeah, it's so interesting because obviously this is just one extra proxied Rex. That does mean additional Reapers are going to show up a little bit sooner, and those few seconds can sometimes make the difference. It's one of those slight things that Bjorn is hoping to take advantage of.
Yeah, and Dark He's gonna have that Overlord moving.
I'm probably gonna
so
sleep
close.
soon,
So
though.
the fact that he gets that
'Cause I have a
close
cast tomorrow.
and doesn't scout it is also gonna make him think, okay,
Gonna be casting
well, it's
OC King of the
less
Hill.
likely to happen. Even turns around early on and says, no, you
Someone
wouldn't
come at
press
like 2
that
a.m.
far away. But
I was watching him for a
that
little
first
bit.
Reaper, is it
Fair
gonna
enough,
get
fair enough.
rallied straight on over, or do you kind of hide
No,
it
no,
for
we've
a
been
moment
casting all
and
night.
rally it forward?
I think it's going to time in quite nicely with this Reaper.
Thank
from
you
the
for
main
checking
base,
in.
Right, so Dog's going to stay here, one barracks, then he's going to keep moving through. He's going to say, okay, no second barracks. Interesting. He's going to stay
But I'm probably
going
gonna
to
get some
well.
rest
Bjorn
soon.
wants to make this look like
Because I need to get some
SC2 's
sleep
gonna come
before
down, which it should in a moment anyways. The money is going to be
before
there very
OSC
soon.
later on tonight.
The thing is, Dog should recognize, well, if this was just one barracks, you would have a command center, you'd have that money already, so he should roughly know. And to be fair, it's not really about hiding it so much from Dark anymore. You can only do the same things, right? It's also like this Reaper showing up earlier, it just allows you to be more aggressive. Look at this damage being done on this build and Spore Crawler that's trying to save the drone. I don't think that's enough to actually eat through it.
Steven
Is it? Are we gonna
Stark,
get there in
true.
the end? No, not quite. Ling does go down, coming across. Queen will be out in a second. That's a lot of wasted time kind of hitting the Spore that will never really mean much.
Yeah, because the Spore does eventually get canceled in theory, so that the drone can continue to just mine. The Queen getting a little bit lower in hit points is annoying, but these Reapers are also low on hit points, and a second Queen comes forward from the main base. A lot of links also were made, so Dark is definitely respecting this at this point. He is not getting caught completely off guard, but
we lose
the
the drone.
drone is the third. That's a nice pick off there for Bjorn.
Yeah, Bjorn.
So the big thing about what's happening here is that Bjorn is denying the third. He's just containing Dark to 2 bases. Oh no! Ooh, almost gets surrounded. But again, Bjorn, all he has to do is deny the third base, contain Dark, and get further ahead. Like take that economic lead.
The that proxy Rex is he really got more damage on that Queen before the other Queen was able to join up.
If you can catch a Queen, that's ideal.
On that at all here, so now you've got to flow that second Rex home. That does weaken your follow-ups. So that's one thing that Dark will be happy with. Our picture showing us the epic action of that barracks flowing home.
Yeah.
Flies fast, man. It's flying home as fast as it can to start building some additional Marines and help get that transition set on up, because that is exactly what Bjorn is thinking about. Third CC factory.
Oh, can he make it back home? Up!
Ooh, Marine. Or sorry, these
He
Reapers
can't.
getting caught potentially
This
by
is
these
huge.
Lings. Can Bjorn his way out of the situation?
Oh, he's doing an
Oh, the
extremely good
juking.
job with the grenade.
The
It's been
jives.
fantastic up until now. Obviously, eventually Reaper will go down. He uses another ledge over here. Obviously, this is not home, but the Reapers are still alive. Lost one. I think so far he's honestly doing well enough, as we are just going to lose another. Can these two get home? It's just nice to have them still
will.
around just to kind of act as
Makes
a
it back
defense behind the
home.
wall off, etc. for a little while longer. Although Hellions are here, so
That's actually really
Obviously,
nice.
got a lot of the Lings. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, I feel like Bjorn should still be relatively happy with how those trades ended up going in the end. Forced out so many of those
Again,
Lings
2
as
Reapers
well.
for 12 Lings,
Dark
2
now is
drones,
going to
delayed
have his
third.
Overlords coming on up to unsupply block himself, but also just get into his groove, make it a lot of drones at this point, because
Oh, it's SC2
really,
streamer.
you've dealt
Oh,
with
thank you,
the
Papi, thank
Reapers
you.
for a little bit.
Gracias.
Does have a Roach Horn being added on nice at a nice little time over here, but this is a difference from some of the previous games we've seen.
Yeah, we have not seen roaches at all, I want to say.
Yeah, not from Dark for this particular series, at least.
Yeah, throughout the weekend here, Dragon, we have seen some roaches. That is a true observation. No, it's definitely new for this series. You're right. So there's going to be a little bit of a switch up here on Alsteini, and maybe just because he's seen Bjorn kind of doing some of these more aggressive attacks. Like last game, he was quite happy to kind of get in there with the Hellbats and everything. Roaches will naturally help you kind of get through that phase. We'll see what the commitment is, especially off the Evo chambers. Are we going to go missiles? Likely to go missiles.
So something
but
that they
might
kind of
never go
glossed
into, like,
over.
full-on
Another big reason why you would go for a Roach one in this position is because of how larva starved you are. Because the third base is so late, that does quite negatively impact your production. So very often when Dark is in this position, he does go roaches, just so he can be as larva efficient as possible, defending with like 5 roaches, for example, before joining up.
Over here, 8 roaches is a fair bit of a investment into that to make sure he's not really going to take too much more damage, but for now that is definitely going to be more than enough to just push back any of these Hellions that are trying to get some damage done.
That's Single Reaper is not going to be saved. I think Hellion's not close enough. As you get a couple of Lings, missile upgrades on the way for now. That's
See,
expected
roaches are
because
moving out, we're
the
droning
main
behind it.
investment is roaches. Like I say, it'll be the follow-up later to see exactly what Dark does. He could just hit a 1-1 roach timing.
Yeah.
If he really wants to, you just kind of really go aggressively. That could be part of the plan. We'll see if that is the idea right now. I don't think there's enough roaches to be that scary. There's a good amount of Marines out. There's a few Hellions to play the buffer game as well. They should be fine for Bjorn.
Yeah, likely
Dark's
calculated low
upgrades,
supply
yeah,
loss
he's
there.
on
We did
1-1.
have to make a couple
Working on
more
1-1,
to
droning.
let out any more roaches. So and
Again,
then
Dark, he
going
was just
back
like
into
puffing
drones
up his chest. It was
there,
like puffing up his
goes back with
chest.
those roaches and says,
You know, forcing Bjorn back, hoping to force an overreaction. He's droning. At least a 3-base saturation. We'll see if he drones up and takes a 4. Or if he just goes all in.
A little bit of pressure with that while he tries to get up his drone count up a little bit higher behind it and continues to add on a lot more roaches.
Just keeps on building them. 6-7 drones. That's 3-base saturation. From here on out, he'll probably build roaches until that 4th base is ready. And again, that definitely sets him up to potentially send it with the 1-1 roach timing. This is where obviously some preemptive bunkers would be really nice for Bjorn. This is where
no more drones. 5 overlords on the way. He's sending it, Bappy. Mass roach.
In this scenario, as he's going to see these roaches. It's not like he sees roaches. He knows roaches are there. The question is figuring out how committed is Dark going to be to those roaches. As right now, Bjorn finds a chance to get rid of some creep. He's going to keep edging forwards. This is one of the scenarios where you might lose the Hellbats, but if the Marines stay alive, then it's kind of fine. I think right now he's going to realize it just isn't worth sticking around for any longer. And it's still just roaches and ravages on the way.
Now
what's coming through from Bjorn.
What's scary is that Dark, he deflects this and he's going to keep pushing. He's going to chase this down.
Bjorn just tries to evacuate what he can.
Nidus on the way.
This is time to make sure you do not die in the next couple of moments.
Yeah, losing a handful of those Marines like you were talking about, even stimming
Notice the Nidus
well early on before Combat Shields is really finished up is going to make these a little bit more awkward here, but Siege is sieged up in a very nice spot. We're able to shell away at any of those roaches. The starport acting as a very annoying city there for Dark to deal with. And bunker coming up behind it as well is going to be annoying, but that is also a very vulnerable starport.
It is, losing the reactor and even potentially the starport having to relocate is
picture.
frustrating. 2 medevacs do pop out, the starport will just move away. Honestly, yeah, the SimCity there from the starport was huge.
Vision in the main.
More open area. That's why I think Bjorn is already building the bunker there. There's a Nidus coming up in the main base, and Dark is looking to hit hard. And this is the problem, because if you start getting drawn out all over the place, that's going to become very difficult for Bjorn to defend, as he's doing okay at the front.
Yeah,
but
Bjorn has no idea. He's distracted.
Into his main. He's got to realize something is up here in a second. He's getting a great catch, but it's too good to be true. And it's because the roaches show up in the main, and now Bjorn has to do some crisis control.
He absolutely does. Not picking up any of those units in the
There's no production in the main.
Just over there, still wants to be able to have some units on the ground.
It looks so weird. It's so wide open.
There, but main basically going to get evacuated for the moment. There's still the damage potentially happening over the 3rd base. Siege gets volleyed by the Ravages, but not actually killed.
Yeah, and these Ravages actually starting to go down there. The attack is going to be in the main base. That's the focus right now from Dark.
Goes down.
As we move on forwards, Bjorn is trying to fight this off. The Roach is taking damage. Reinforcements of Bjorn are getting here. It is not looking super pretty, though. He doesn't have a tank in position. The tank is trying to get there, but Siege is now, I'm a little afraid, it's too close, and the Ravages will get a good bile on it. Bjorn just does not have access to his main base at the moment. It is just covered in Roach Ravager, and everything is evacuated from this position. And this is where it is just looking very, very good for Dark.
Yeah,
now
from here, Dark is working on 2-2. He's droning.
Though, that because Bjorn went
he's almost maxed.
Ground, barracks and everything, even the factory is down there. The starport was down there, so it actually means CJ production is continuing in a situation where sometimes if your main base is overwhelmed by a Nidus Storm, you just lose your factory. You have to rebuild your tech lab and everything. Bjorn has at least been able to continuously produce those siege.
Yeah, it's important what they're pointing out. The fact that because the main base was so bare bones, losing the main doesn't matter as much. It's not as important because the production is still up and running, but we do break the 3rd. 2 more tanks go down. We're getting to the middle line.
SCVs are trying to surround some of those roaches. It still feels like Bjorn has a lot of army. He's also 2-2 right now, so he does have an upgrade lead to help him trade with these roaches. But Dark has done enough where I feel like he can obviously just start to try and get away. This Nidus will go down. Bjorn will reclaim his main base, but he's down to 43 SCVs. He doesn't honestly have that much army supply to show for it. He does have a 4th. Apparently somehow this Nidus does not quite see that. There's another saving grace of Dark, of Bjorn is Dark. 1 roach. He's going to go hunting for SCVs.
The scouting roach does identify that 4th base and scares it away, even forces a lift off over there. But like you were saying, Dark can just retreat back. I love the investment.
With Bjorn building his tank supply last match
well,
had made a difference. He had a huge advantage early.
Existing
are you referring to a side delta?
Better composition, whether it be through better upgrades or eventually other tech.
Potentially. My issue with side delta was that it felt like Bjorn was a little bit. It felt like he wasn't too confident in his ability to push. Actually.
Roach play continue. But he was very committed.
We can get into
and that's the thing, because this was so committed for so long, this is where Bjorn has the recovery opportunity. You know, and he is getting back up there with SPV.
If you make production in your main base, you wouldn't have a blind spot. True.
Some Zerg players play with, right? So, yes, that's kind of a Dark thing, and yes, Dark is now starting to tech freely, but it means that Bjorn is at least still in this game, and that is something which I don't think was necessarily a guarantee based on what was happening before. And Bjorn even going to start dropping around the map as he knows it's safe enough to play defense at home.
Yeah, Bjorn is stabilizing.
Now he can obviously try and turn this game around a bit with some drop action that goes well for him.
Coming up in the main base, but he is immediately spotted in Delta.
But yeah, like Bjorn's production was left safe and sound. Like he's building back up his SCVs, going for the gold base. Dark is transitioning into Hydra Lurker Viper, but he's not quite there yet. And here come the drops.
Beyond when he's just able to pick up all of his units into these medevacs and retreat on out. So Beyond should have a window of opportunity to take advantage of this and at least be annoying.
Goes to the main base, which is the right call here because we're playing that low mobility Roach Ravager, so everything was on the map, and Bjorn realizes this. He's going to jump in the main. He will lose one medevac. The other will be targeted down. I think if he only loses the one, it's okay. And he also only going to lose one, which means he can continue to fight for a while. And that's going to be value.
Was that
for
4+
Bjorn.
queens going down?
Ravagers as Bjorn is going to get a bunch of Ravagers. Still fighting in this main base. Finally picks up and pulls away. And now pushing through the center. Roach counter-attack going nowhere. I feel like they might have been maybe meant to be burrowed, but there's a missile turret there. Bjorn is playing a very good follow-up from that initial defense, which was flailing around crazily.
It absolutely is, and we are seeing the Marines trying to charge up.
Wardy ran out of breath
there. Not able to make any headway over there, but the medevacs hard to punish when
take a breath, Poppy. Take a breath.
Down. Marines manage to unload in the main base at the same time. Dark is going for the bust on in through here. Takes out all those siege tanks. Takes out so many of the Marines. The Marines in the main base are managing to find a little bit of damage, but not a ton. It's a handful of drones going down, and Dark is still cleaning up.
The tanks will lead to siege.
Those tanks again are just so stacked up, and multiple times in both of these phases of this fight. Bjorn's tanks were just so exposed.
Bjorn bleeding out too much. What was that? 6 tanks going down, 7, 8 tanks. Oh my god.
Micro is not there, and this is huge because without tanks, dealing with this is going to be so
Bjorn almost bounced back in this game. It was crazy. Like the soup does lie. Bjorn, he was trading so well.
I believe with the Tunneling Cloud Roaches,
so many tanks.
Nidus Worm in the main base yet again. He doesn't have vision in that location yet again, and now this is going to mean that Tunneling Cloud Roaches
base trade
combined with a Nidus Worm, combined with a potential fight at the front.
No lurkers.
Bjorn is going to be extremely tasked, not just with actions, but
just Roach Hydra
spreading out his army now.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I think Bjorn obviously felt very desperate to get something done, and maybe even too desperate because from what we could see, it was maybe okay to kind of let it go on.
Roach is going to get across the map. We're going to surround the tanks once again.
In the background, they will not have a great time. Bjorn is going to kind of think about going for the base, decides to go after Army instead. He is still looking okay when you look at part.
He's running out of units. He's running out of steam.
And of course, as Bjorn bleeds out, he just doesn't quite have as much economy as Dark does to recover from, and that's the problem. Although all said and done, Army supplies are still close enough that I can kind of believe of Bjorn. These scans are expensive. He is mining up for gold right now. That's a factor. Killing more Ravagers, but losing medevacs. Oh my goodness, this game is a whirlwind.
It really is, and you're absolutely on point there.
If Dark can deny the gold, he can take this. Like the gold mining is so important, but the gold is going to be denied. This is huge. This gold base has been keeping Bjorn in this game, and
Brick kills off a bunch more workers there, reduces Bjorn down to 30 workers, but Bjorn still has a lot of orbitals to work with. He's still getting some of that mule income. Vipers being added in, though, might complicate things.
Yeah, Dark is slowly grappling full control of this game. It's weird because I feel like Bjorn had like a moment here and a moment there where I get hopeful for him again, but it's immediately countered by Dark killing 20 more SCVs and giving Bjorn even more of an issue for the further stages of this. Like right now, Bjorn kills a bunch of.
It's been a wild game. It's been very it's been very scrappy.
And this has been
very
the
scrappy
game that these two have been playing for the last few minutes here, because again, I think Bjorn did a lot of things right on the follow-up. But then he got a bit too desperate, and then Dark kind of messed up a little bit, but then he found a bunch of damage. So it's been back and forth across the table. Dark still leading by 40 supplies. Yeah, might lose this base, and honestly, every mule is so important right now.
Yeah, looks like the SCVs are going to be able to repair that, and some of the reinforcements
catching some marauders.
A very stimmed up army cannot take a
big pickups. Here come the Vipers. We get the yoink.
Duck those medevacs. So annoying because that army is already so low on hit points, but using the mineral choke point is a great maneuver.
Yeah, Viper Tech is huge. Like something that's been keeping Bjorn as well in this game, like his drop play, his pushes have been trading so well, but now with Vipers we can yoink, we can parasitic bomb.
As Bjorn tries to control the main, splitting up those roaches is Dark, burrowing them around just to force any scan that he can, and every scan that does come in is just, again, expensive for Bjorn in this phase of the game. He does not want to be scanned, he wants to be muling, he needs money, he needs anything he can get to help himself out. He's still hanging on in there. You mentioned those medevacs dying, that's huge. Look at how low health.
It's the last game of the turn for him. Yeah.
One medevac
brutal.
being made, I think, just a second ago, and no additional medevacs being queued up behind it. you really just see how much damage Beyond has taken when you just look at the production tab. It is 2 Medivacs and a Concussive Shell Marauder upgrade. Finally,
should have been a Rax to the blind sword in his vein. I mean,
but the Nice Worm is also going to be able to get up, and these Hydras and Roaches survive long enough to defend it as well.
Micro back into the Nidus, man.
Wow.
What a god.
This Nidus has been like the icing on top. Like this Nidus hasn't necessarily. I mean, the first Nidus was huge, but like these follow-up Niduses have just been a nice amount of bonus damage here from Dark.
Is starting to stretch out that supply advantage a little bit further. Beyond's army supply is still somewhat there, but
yeah, at this point we would
need
vision there.
Yeah.
And the longer that it goes on as being purely bio, the less good this really
It might
feels.
just be too late, but
It's so true. And not only that, the Roaches and Ravagers that have been taking all these trades down instead of upgrades are about to finish up +3 weapons. +3 armor a long ways away from finishing. But if Dark ever congregates his army up, as he is now starting to do a little bit in the center,
Lurker Den's on the way, so he's taking up into Hydra Lurker Viper.
Or abducts on the siege tanks, this could get really dangerous for an actual direct fight with Dark.
He's going for the gold.
Maxed out.
He's going for the gold.
Absolutely, Medivacs.
Show us the gold.
Left-hand side, we'll load a few of those
Something
Marines.
happened.
Roach will start to take some damage. The orbital moving across into position. We got more Hydras, Roaches, Ravagers pressing on through. A couple of SCVs continue to drop. Our bio gets there. And will just about play defense, but again, that bow upgrade is so good for Dark. And as we tick towards a Lurker Den, I fear that Bjorn's time is really, truly.
Thankfully for Bjorn, Lurker upgrades are a ways away.
Getting out over there.
We get a base.
Beyond doing some counter damage on the other side of the map, finds a hatchery at the high yield gap.
But again, we've had the Hive for a while, and without a Lurker Den, there are no Lurker upgrades. Decent trades here by Bjorn, but
Those are for Bjorn to be able to keep alive. He is now so
coming in from right hand side.
Yeah, he's being outmaneuvered right now. Is the issue the Viper does not go down?
Oh my god.
Base. Suddenly Dark only has 3 bases. There is a world where Bjorn can maybe get Dark in a lot of trouble because Dark just can't build much more, right? 3 bases only. It's not just economy, it's also production. So Bjorn, army supply 80 to 90, it's still somewhat doable. Lurkers would be an issue, but with what money? Dark has no cash left. Bjorn is mining more minerals than Dark. 19 minutes.
Unironically. He's doing it.
Starting to do it a little bit. The mineral income
Oh my god.
is paying off that gold base, but Dark says no. A lot of Hydras here.
Denies the gold.
That's not just the mules. That's also going to be the scans.
Catching the Medivacs.
Oh, the Medivacs just flew over those Hydras as well. I feel like you need absolutely everything here to get
catches the army.
of those units being hurt from before. Now we are chasing away up the left-hand side, but apparently that's gone a little bit wrong as well. We do get more units showing up beyond his army supply.
Wait, who needs Lurkers?
It was like a 10
I mean, this would have been easier with Lurkers, but who needs them?
What is the Medivac count at now? I want to see 3 Medivacs, 1 siege tank, and a lot of Marines that have to contend against 3 Hydras.
Crazy game.
It's crazy that Bjorn almost made us believe this long. Like,
almost.
Even moments
like even here.
He's killing the army, but obviously there's so much more from Dark, and it's screaming over. It will get here. It's still mostly
like these are still like really efficient trades from Bjorn, but it's just too much.
GG has to be called as Dark moves through to the semi-finals, setting up a matchup with Maru and denying Bjorn that qualification to the Esports World Cup.
3-1. Dark does it. A lot of very hectic moments in that series. A lot of scary moments for Dark, but he does it again. A punch
Beat him.
from Beyond.
Punch him.
A hug
Take
from
him out.
Dark. A reluctant hug there from Beyond. But Dark absolutely earning that victory.
I love it. Bjorn, he's good friends with all the Korean players. They always mess around like that.
Really
Most of the Korean
last
players.
Game, I was like, I feel like I'm crazy because I have some hope for Bjorn. I'm like, I think the fanboy inside me is just picking up, and then Bjorn like starts killing all the base.
Really, that's the reason why his wrist hurts so much.
Like 2 to 3
He's
more
punching
Medivacs
everyone.
and gets his army back home. There is something of a world where it's possible, right? Absolutely crazy stuff. Bjorn fighting until the bitter end.
Yeah, I'm gonna check his bed for Bard Roach the next 2 weeks. Yeah, it was really impressive.
Speak to our winner on stage. It's Dark.
Wasn't an easy match for sure, but Dark makes it through once more. Now going on to the semifinals. Dallas, give it up for Dark off of his victory here in the playoffs.
Let's go, Dark.
Let's hear how he's feeling, because again, wasn't exactly an easy road here.
I'm curious what he has to say.
일단 어떻게 보면 좀 중간중간 어려운 부분도 있으셨던 것 같은데 지금
Talk to us,
소감이
Matt. Talk
어떠신지
to us.
들어보고 싶습니다.
오늘 경기력이 좀 많이 안 좋고 약간 똥 같은 경기력을 보여드린 것 같아서 좀 부끄러워요, 사실.
Yeah, you know, my play wasn't that great today. Honestly, I think I showed you guys some poop games, so I'm not feeling too great about my victory today. I'll be very honest. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a win is a win, but let's talk about some of those, you know, maybe the parts that Dark feels is a little bit embarrassing. Obviously, first of all, not a clean sweep. You know, the micro from Byun, I mean, how annoying was that throughout this matchup? 네, 그러면 오늘 경기력이 좀 안 좋다고 말씀해 주셨는데 뭐 그게 특별히 또 변현우 선수 상대로 하기 때문에 뭐 그런 부분이 있으셨는지 왜냐하면 사실 3대0으로 이기시지는 못하셨었잖아요. 그래서 그런 부분에서 뭐 좀 짜증이 나는 부분이 있다든지
Isn't Byun annoying?
일단 시작 전에 악수하는 거부터 약간 매너 약간 싸가지 없게 하더라고요. 그래서
yes, very annoying.
편하게 하자는 생각으로 왔는데 악수를 안 받아주고 나서부터 약간 화가 나서 그게 좀 경기력에 안 좋은 영향을 끼친 것 같아요. 그래서 멘탈을 좀 잘 잡았어야 되는데 아쉬운 부분이 있습니다.
Yeah, it all started with the handshake, or rather lack thereof. That meta really kind of messed with my head. You know, I came in today to the arena thinking, oh, we'll just kind of take it easy. And as soon as I saw him just not accept the handshake, it made me pretty angry. And I think that affected my gameplay a little bit today. So I'll have to work on that a little bit. Obviously, now moving forward, playing against another Terran tomorrow in Maru. How is he feeling about that matchup? Looking forward. 그러면 이제 내일 4강전에서는 이제 조성주 선수와 또 한 번 테란전을 치르셔야 되는데 그 경기에 대해서 좀 어떻게 예상하고 계신가요?
일단 오늘 같은 경기력이면 못 이길 것 같고요. 우선 돌아가서 다시 멘탈 잡고 약간 빌드 같은 거 준비 잘해서 성준은 약간 저를 안 보고 이미 결승에서 세라라고 하고 있는 걸 상상하고 있더라고요. 그래서 발목을 한번 쥐어잡고 싶네요.
Yeah, obviously, if I play like today, it's not going to be a win, but I think I'll just go back, you know, rest up a little bit, review some VODs, maybe come up with a couple changes to the builds. But most importantly, Maru seems like he's thinking way too far ahead about meeting Cyril in the finals, so I think I'll have to hold him back a little bit this week. And once again, give it up for Dark as he moves on tomorrow to the semifinals here in Dallas.
The Micro Master gave the Terrans some hope, especially in game number 2 with so much Reaper power. But no, Dark will dash those dreams aside and find himself in the round of 4 once again. He is an absolute beast. It didn't look clean cut.
Polaris has a way with words. I like it.
Back into it, but Dark's too good.
Byun had some absolutely fantastic moments. I actually think he misread this game a little bit. Maybe he thought that Dark was very far along, massive economy, and all the scary Zerg units coming up on Hive Tech with all the upgrades. But if he would have taken it a tiny bit slow with those tanks, I really think this could have been Byun's game.
Yeah.
Just banger games though. El Cyane, fantastic entertainment. Side Delta, I thought was really
So
awesome
Rotterdam,
well.
he was referring to what we can see coming up on the minimap, the tank push. If you remember, this was when Byun lost 6 tanks. This round, 4 tanks went down here, and then he lost another 3 tanks in the back line as well. Like 7 tanks went down like in a matter of seconds. And yeah, the reality is that like if he had taken that a little bit slower, he probably would have won the game. Considering how scrappy this all was, it was a crazy game, bro. Crazy game,
This newcomer, where's Benjamin Baker when we need? But yeah, State, of course, looking at how things go as well here.
That was a good series.
Absolutely
good
formidable.
Series.
It's always good to see him, almost always seemingly getting through to semi-finals. Never mind.
Korean on Korean
violence. This guy is a big match player, and him coming up on Maru here in a moment could be a GSL finals in pretty much any season. It might even be the finals this season coming up, as both those guys are in the round of 8 here in the GSL Code S. So I'm looking forward
Who's
to
gonna
it.
win tomorrow?
I always believed in Dark there against Byun. Maybe fatigue played a little bit as Byun, as you said, Roddy, had to fight all the way from the open to make it here today, but really spectacular game.
I think the boring answer, but the one that everyone expects is Cyril. Right? I think we all expect Cyril to win, but it'd be really cool if there was like an upset or something.
So maybe he's sleeping better here.
Or if we had a really good finals, like a back and forth finals with Cyril.
Superpowers, but I mean, one thing's for sure right now, we have now Dark versus Maru confirmed. One of those players will be going to the grand final state, which is just a fantastic fixture. Let's take a look at how this bracket is shaping up here. Now, of course, players, congratulations, you qualified to the Esports World Cup, but you already did, Maru and Dark. You're not giving these other players many chances.
It's almost like our game is about skill, Claros, and not RNG. Yeah. Turns out that if you don't jump out of the right area of the parachute where all the good items laying around, that you can suddenly cause an upset. It's not how it works over here.
You know, the top teams over there are almost the top teams. They're pretty
consistent.
Good. They're pretty good at the video game, all right?
All right, I believe it.
He loves taking these cheeky...
I believe it.
Yeah,
I'm a believer.
Yeah, right.
I'll be watching your next work, James.
No, of course, which is probably, I don't know, there's a million tournaments a year.
I think Calaris is like...
I
think it was causing... Was it PUBG recently, or was it Apex?
The thing about this match coming up state is the fact that we guarantee somebody new into the Esports World Cup, because neither of them's qualified yet.
Yeah, finally. I mean, it feels kind of like both these guys are having a return to form here in Dallas because, you know, Oliveira definitely proving that he was not just a flash of the pan, wasn't a fluke, him becoming champion before.
Yeah.
Coming here with a really good performance.
Cyril,
Also,
when
Rainer,
random,
I mean,
true,
there were a lot
true.
of high hopes on him.
Rainer's the random hope in
competing in the
SC2.
GSL. He even got, I think,
We did
top
see Rainer
one,
play Terran.
top
It was
two on the ladder
like a
before
month
his
ago?
co-guest matches, and
A month or two
we all
ago, we
know
saw
he's
Rainer
better
play
than the
Terran,
performance
I
he
think.
showed on, so for him to
No,
be
no,
here
sorry.
in the
He didn't play
playoffs
Terran. He
again
played
in Dallas,
Protoss against
couldn't be
Terran.
happier.
That's what
Yeah,
happened.
definitely. Final thoughts, Roddy?
I love Oliveira Reina. That's two
Crazy.
of my all-time favorite players. Oliveira gave us the most magical day of StarCraft 2 ever, and he, of course, played against Reina back then in the quarterfinals. You remember when he played that game 2 on Dragon Skills? We were like, oh my god, this game is so close. And that final bailing, the absolute last bailing, blew up those Marines, and we're like, oh, at least Oliveira put up a really good fight, you know? And he's like, putting up a fight. He's like, I'm going all the way, guys. So no, it's always cool to see those two duke it out with each other once more. Reina apparently had a very strong showing against Spirit. I wasn't able to watch it because we were casting Hero versus Maru. But yeah, Reina seemed incredibly happy with his play.
We were
Looked
casting
good
Reina
against
versus
Kira
Spirit
as well,
earlier,
right? I
and
know
it
that went on
was
for a
a
while,
brutal
But if he
series.
just had
It was
a couple
very,
roaches
it was a little bit
earlier on, that
one-sided.
would have been a convincing 2-0 too. So I feel like we've got two guys that are both going to bring their A game, that have delivered in the past. I think it's a very exciting quarterfinals.
Two more matches on the way for the day. Plenty of Zerg to tantalize you as well. And not to mention also, with Oliveira now on the way, over at the Intel booth, there's a fantastic portrait kind of commemorating his World Championship run as well. So you might want to go see that if you're here in the venue. For now, we're going to go to a break. When we return, it's our next quarterfinal match, Oliveira versus Reina.
I hope they show the memorial that they have. That sounds really nice. If they have something for Oliveira. I'm just saying, you know, like some B-roll footage of that would be nice. Hopefully we get it. GG. Yeah, up next, Reina versus Oliveira. I'm a little bit concerned about this series. Like, again, Reina was looking very strong versus Spirit. To be fair, Spirit was playing very passively. Like, Spirit was going for, like, very economic and, like, more turtle-centric play styles. And I do think that Oliveira is a little bit more like Beyond.
We're gonna play some Connect 4, me and a laser.
Connect 4, let's
The
go.
goal is to get 4 in a row. Anyway.
Yeah, 4 in a row. Okay. I was watching this game a lot with you know, other viewers, how the Koreans played, and I always thought they are very bad at it.
So you have some strategy, Oliver.
I have no strategy, but
let's see how it goes.
Let's go. The Connect 4 strats. I haven't played Connect 4 in a long time. Like, last time I played Connect 4, I was like 10 years old or something.
Gotta make it short for the video.
Oh, he got baited.
I think you're getting old already, honestly.
Am I?
Isn't this like high level already, what I'm doing?
No. You're overthinking it.
But yeah, I'm worried for Oliveira just because...
There?
I'm worried for Oliveira just because he was doing really well today. Oh, sorry, I said today in this tournament, but a lot of it was TVP. Like, he was popping up in TVP. I don't know if we've seen much of his TVZ as of late. Let's have a look.
Did I just throw?
You did.
But I
afraid.
I wanted to put it in the other one.
Then you didn't. Why didn't you put it there then?
I don't know, I missed the hole. Okay,
This
maybe
isn't looking
it's
so
playable, no?
Is
no,
it
it's
playable?
GG, it's
It's
GG,
not
no?
playable.
It's GG. Ah, that's embarrassing.
Is that the strategy you cooked up?
Yeah. The diagonals are pretty hard to see sometimes in this game.
Watching from the side like this?
Yeah, yeah.
A rematch?
Rematch, I go rematch.
Sure. You can start.
Oh, Scarlet. Not even breaking a sweat. So I'm just checking Oliveira's recent scores.
My opener?
Yeah. No, I switch up. It's a completely new position.
Completely new position? Talking like this is some chess analysis.
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning.
Oh,
So I'm looking at the recent, like, Oliveira's recent results in TVZ. He went down to Rainer like last week. He went down to Dark. He dropped to Shin. He did beat Rainer. When was this? This was in April.
Good for me.
Did beat Rainer. Okay,
That
okay,
would be
okay. Beat Rainer in April.
Oh yes. Doesn't that look scary for you?
I'm a little bit less confident in Oliver's TVZ, but I'm excited. I'm excited nonetheless. I'm sure it's gonna be a good series.
The player that starts actually has.
I do think that Rainer's gonna be the favorite player, but Oliver's, despite being the underdog, is gonna be the one to cheer for.
But when I watch the other guys play, it always looks like they just like random put the things at random basically.
Maybe they do. Don't really have many options, do they?
Lace is popping up.
You're in a
Pickle.
what do they say it in chess? The Zugzwang? Where you don't have any move that improves your position, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point you're gonna have to put it here or here, right?
We'll see.
Well, surely.
Surely.
Oh yeah, I see. I see. It's like mating 3 or something like that.
Mating 3?
Yeah, mating 3.
I'm so engrossed. I'm engrossed in the Connect 4.
It's hard to play it on the.
I'm gonna go here.
handling.
I'll go here. I'll stall for a bit.
You're stalling for what?
For a little bit.
Ah.
Put it. Ah.
GG. Oh my god.
Okay,
He
so it's a
set
draw.
her up.
That's a draw.
Alright, so this was us.
That was really
playing
cool.
This game.
Connect 4.
Connect 4. It was
1-1.
a draw.
It was a
1-1.
draw.
It was a good match.
No ace match.
I will be down to play more of this and learn all the strategies, and like
That was fun.
really like get good at the opening of this game. You know?
Grind some Connect 4.
Grind some Connect 4.
The meta of
maybe at
Connect
home.
4. Connect 4 she went true. How are your headset ear pads holding up, Light? What do you mean? They're okay. They're good. They're holding. They're holding. Has Oliveira ever beaten Cyril? Not sure. Have a look. We've seen Cyril beat Oliveira in WTL, but have a look. Oh, I don't think so. He's taken maps, but I don't think he's taken series.
All right, plenty of ZVT action, and now we've got another one on the way, and this time it is a world champion versus world champion. So why on earth not? Because our previous one was world champion versus world champ in the past. Joining me to my left-hand side, we have Wardy as well as Fear Dragon to talk about Oliveira versus Reina. Two fan favorites at this point, duking it out to find out not only who moves on in another step here to try and crown themselves as champion here in Dallas, but also a guaranteed new name in the Esports World Cup finally in this tournament.
The player shots.
Finally,
Hooray!
someone's going to the Esports World Cup that isn't already.
Yes.
I mean, Oliveira kind of is because he's unbeatable in Asia points.
That's true now that you mention it. Good point. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, we keep talking about this because of qualification, but there's some players who are just so locked in.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
It's impossible for them not to go, which probably is the case here, but there is obviously implications for other people. Because Spirit, for example, really
Shows the
doesn't want
head-to-head.
Oliveira to win. Because if
90.
Oliveira wins, Coffee
Reina.
gets the Asian seed
Right.
for Esports World Cup, and that would knock Spirit out of the current kind of qualification to Esports World Cup. If Reina wins, Oliveira gets the Asian seed, and then the overall seeds go over to Spirit. So this is actually a huge match for Spirit in terms of Esports World Cup.
Yeah.
So while these two are probably both going to be there no matter what, it does have implications on who qualifies and how.
Good point. Good point. So we'll see if they can kind of boil down to how this is going to work. And I also actually, whilst this is also going, we do actually also have signing sessions going on. So there are some players that are going to be doing signing sessions right now. And also, I believe me, Chobra, and Stay tomorrow at 10 a.m. are going to do signing sessions too. But that's a little bit before the tournament as a whole. Just making people aware, because I kind of don't want to be lonely, Fear Dragon, you know?
Yeah, I mean, will you sign anything, James?
I will. No, wait, no, I'm not falling for this. No.
No?
Why not?
Many things. Let's talk about the game. Hey, Fear Dragon, what do you think about Oliveira going up against right now?
I'm obviously very excited about this series. To me, I know that they've played a bunch of times, most recently like Basilisk Big Brain bouts and stuff, sure. But to me, this is always going to be a rematch from Katowice, where Oliveira had his miraculous run through, and Rainer was such a critical one in his big run and just gaining a lot of that momentum. To me, this is a rematch of that. This is Rainer's chance for that big revenge in a big stage.
It is.
Thank you, Wardy.
You know, you look at me like I have something to add, but like, you made a great point. It is his chance for revenge.
Yeah.
Will he get it? I think so. Because honestly, I think Reino is at this point right now where his EVT looks very good. Like, out of all the matchups, I think he can be super confident. Yeah, Oliveira's going to hit him with some timings. Yes, Oliveira's probably going to be aggressive, but if Reino can just kind of, you know, hug it down and get past that, I think the later the game goes, he's going to be feeling great. We saw against Kua, you know? He just kind of, you know, had a tough time against one of the timings he wasn't ready for. He made a little macro error. He got supply blocked.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, coming into this, like,
up his defense in the game too.
I'm hoping that Oliveira can make a series out of it. I'm hoping.
He could have kept on attacking in because he had his opponent on
Rainer has been looking scary. Like, again, his series against Spirit was.
If I kept attacking him, I think I lose that game. So he had to slow it
scary,
down, be very mature, and he showed us that against Kua. I really think he's going to take it down against Oliveira.
I think there's going to be a lot of attacking in this one. This is going to be fireworks abound here. So let's get to it. Let's head on over to the stage for Oliveira and Rainer.
Oh, hello, Cybertron. Hello, Tater Tutor. Hello. The Cream Commander? What's happening in the chat right now? You're animals, Bobby. You're animals. Right, let's go.
Really picked his battles well. And at one point he realized he was getting a bit too carried away. Took a step back as GG gets called, and the Rainer does win.
There's no pile of that pile goes down! Oh, there it is! The losses will not pop out. Stalker's playing forward to try and do something, but this is a complete disaster. I said it was going to be better. He seemed to have a grasp on it, but it was easy peasy.
The desk talked about it. We're getting a little bit of deja vu here in this next matchup. But the question is will Dallas be another blip on the timeline? For this matchup, we have Rainer coming in to try to remind everyone that he is still indeed a very strong pro player. But is he yet again just part of Oliveira's fairy tale story? StarCraft fans, get ready for an absolute banger of a third quarterfinal this weekend here in Dallas. I give to you Oliveira versus Rainer.
I didn't get to say it last time. I like these Chobra like prepared like intros. It's nice.
Here we go. It's a big match with a lot of history behind
and
it.
I don't know if we had the same like the same supercuts even at IEM Katowice, but the lead up into this series to show like the highlights from this very tournament of both Oliveira and Rainer winning games. I think it's really good. I like it. It's good. Good production. Good production.
Right now, the players are in the quarterfinal. If you make it to the semis, you get that coveted spot, and that is so important.
Yeah, and honestly, Pig, I feel like both these guys on stage right now deserve 100% to be there. Rainer and Oliveira, these guys are legends in the StarCraft scene, and here I am hoping that we get one of those spectacular TVZs of the day, because really the action has been non-stop. Dark versus Bien is going to be hard to top, but if anyone can do it, I think Rainer's got a really good chance here against Oliveira.
You know, Rainer right now, he's been struggling. Some people have said he's always been on a little bit of a downswing, but I feel for him it is a mental battle to bring his A game in an age when the maps have changed. The styles that he had so much experience and success with, he's kind of had to move past those, and he's rebuilding himself as a player in many regards. Likewise, on the other side, the Terran player Oliveira. What a crazy height that was. I mean, to get that Cinderella Story World Championship, but then to struggle to repeat that success, to find yourself still constantly facing the Marus of this world, the Sterils in these tournaments, and to see that repeating that experience was very difficult. He was incredibly crushed in his performance at Atlanta, and he's done a lot of rebuilding since then. But standing in his way in the top left side of Oceanborn, a Zerg player from Italy with so much confidence behind him. Let's see if he can get back on top. In the top left side of the map, everybody put your hands together for Raider!
And at the bottom right side, looking to recapture the magic, the former world champ. Let's welcome Oliveira.
My mom Oliveira. Wait, what? What was that in the background?
The desk set up this match talking about that big quarterfinals match, which is on the road to Oliveira winning that world championship. It went down to the wire. It was incredibly close. And I think one thing I always think about as well is the tactical pause. Oliveira was like, look, Reiner was getting out of control. He was vomiting.
I think unironically, something that they mentioned is probably a big thing for Reiner right now. Public perception of like the StarCraft community has been a little bit, I don't know if I want to say negative for Reiner, but because Reiner struggled a lot in his endeavors in Korea, and because there was so much expectation for Reiner, a lot of people just say that Reiner is playing like worse or playing like poorly nowadays, and that's just not true. I think something that goes by the wayside a lot of the time when people like when they judge players or when they perceive them is that everyone's improving. Like everyone's always improving, everyone's always getting better. Everyone is like, you know, comparing a player this year to 2 years ago or something, like everyone has just been getting better, and the meta's been shifting. To be fair, like the meta's been shifting, like the map pool's been changing, the game is different. But it's not like Reiner is playing worse than he was before. Like no, not at all. I feel like I reject that like talking point that people say like, oh, you know, like Reiner, he's like slumping right now. It's like it's like I'm not too certain about that. I do think that a lot of it has to do with the map pool, like the map pool, the patch, everything's really fresh right now, and Reiner's still settling into that. I mean, a lot of the Zerg players have been, which is why we've been seeing a little bit more struggling with a lot of the other Zergs. But I do think what I was getting at is I think this is a pretty important tournament for Reiner to like kind of change that perception of him as well, to like be like, hey, like, you know, washed. Like the meme is always like people saying like, is this player washed now because they like suddenly lose in a tournament, but he's still an amazing player. And I think he's already shown that a little bit, especially in like the group stage and stuff. But yeah, like showing off here in the playoffs and on the main stage is even more important, I think, to like to make an to leave a lasting impression in the minds of people watching.
Back in 2021 in the online circuit, because he revolutionized the dual queen groups, where he'd have 3 different queen control groups, 1 defending the main from air, 2 out front, and he pushed his creep forward. And just no other Zergs up to that point had split their queens up this much, and his creep would get outside his opponent's base by like minute 8. I remember there was games where was like, is that creep going into my third? And it was like, oh my lord, like, it was just disgusting how good Reiner was at that. Since then, of course, the Terrans have learnt how to pick off those queens if they get exposed, how to dart in around and try to slow things down. But Reiner, known for being all-consuming on the map. And if he gets a small edge in Zerg versus Terran, he'll cover the map and creep, he'll get to 85, 90 drones, and he becomes just an absolutely swarmy, ridiculously powerful Zerg.
It's because of talent like that Raider showcased that really changed the meta of TVZ in the modern StarCraft 2 era. Now you watch Terrans play, and oftentimes they will go for pushes that are not designed to get big damage done. Not designed to kill a ton of queens, get a lot of drones, but just to control the creep spread of the Zerg, prevent them from getting map control through the vision, through the speed, to set up for later timing attacks. And that's kind of what Oliveira is doing right now with these Hellions, with this One Reaper, with the Banshee opening, one of the most classic TVZ openers in StarCraft 2, is he's controlling the creep spread. But despite that still, despite these 4 Hellions on the map, despite the Reaper joining them, you can see Reiner with these multiple control groups, as Pig is mentioning, slowly but surely, consistently spreading these tumors all across the map.
Very nicely done. Armory's coming in interesting for Oliveira.
Oh, wow.
You know, Gumiho did have success against Reiner.
Hellbat push, let's go.
He had a really like late Hellbat battle cruiser timing, I think it was, one game. and some other kind of bizarre ones. So definitely something which he might be thinking about here. It could just be for an awkward follow-up mech transition, but yeah, this is looking like just a giant Hellbat Banshee attack, right?
I don't think it's gonna be mech. I mean, Sim coming in is just such a big telegraph that it must be bio. Now 2 barracks, of course, following up, but I wonder exactly how this is gonna go, because when I think about these early pushes with Hellbats, I usually think about them being stopped by huge masses of queens, and I'm wondering if the Cloak Banshees in this situation,
I would love to know the
their
queen
role is
count
not
right
just
now.
drones, but rather to
9.
have the DPS that those Hellbats
Remember, when
need,
Dark
and
shut
mess
down
up the
his
target
Hellbat
fire
push, he
on
had
those
12 queens.
to allow the Hellbats to really dominate on the ground.
Overseer's already morphing in the front. He needs Banelings though. Reina needs those Banelings. He sees the Hellbat morph. He will lose the 4th hatchery, but I don't know if he minds too much. It's everything else that's going to matter. Oh,
what?
Wow, slight mistake
That's
there.
brutal.
Banelings are morphing. Only 3 Banelings so far. Very passive from Rainer. And interestingly, Oliveira doesn't overcommit. Surprising to see someone go so hard on Hellbat just for the cancel of the 4th base. Is that going to be worth it? Only time will tell.
Yeah, with a delay coming out on the Banshees too. I mean, he wasn't out on the map as quickly as he possibly could.
Oliveira's getting a
with those
4
Banshees.
CC.
I thought for sure he was going to try and pick off some of these queens.
He's crazy.
With that added DPS, but instead, no. Playing it nice and safe. And what exactly? Oh, is it the Lings? I actually missed what happened here. That's an odd location for the orbital to be flying in from.
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm not sure. A bit
He had a shot. He landed at the 4th by accident.
Something weird happened.
Yeah,
but it's
I
gonna
wish
now.
I could go back in time and see that. I am so curious right now. My curiosity is peaked.
The replay. We got to get that replay in the reel from the secondary kind of picture-in-picture observer that we've got set up over there. We'll find out, no doubt, later on. But Baneling speed, 1-1 upgrades. Reina's got 72 drones. His creep's getting out there. It does feel like he's a bit ahead of the curve. Yeah, Oliveira's got a very fast 4th command center though, and I think that is, of course, potentially huge, right? Oliveira's clearly planning to play to the late game turtle stage. This is something Reina notoriously dislikes and has disliked for a long time. I mean, think of the game versus Spirit in the regionals about a year ago, where he literally was like dropping question marks and going, really, this is all you're gonna do?
I think
And
everyone
Spirit was
references
like, well,
that series
winning, aren't I?
against Spirit.
And Reina was like, well, yeah, but in the most frustrating way possible. And everyone was like, that's it, man. Hey, if the late game works, then the late game works. You know, you've really got to do what works in StarCraft. And Maru famously has beaten Reina many times by just forcing it to the end game, getting lots of command centers and planetaries, and saying, hey, you make a play. I'm not going to step on creep and let you swarm me. Heck no, you have to play late game, buddy.
It's a hard style to execute as Terran, but if you can do it successfully, I mean, on paper, it is not nearly impossible for Zerg to actually remain cost efficient. So as long as you get it to split map versus split map, that is a path to victory in TVZ almost always because of how efficient the Terran army can be. Zerg is more explosive, it's more swarmy, it requires a lot of resources and a strong economy to keep going. Terran, they can play a bit more passively, and with Oliveira, as you said, going for that really fast 4th command center, now transforming into a planetary at the 6 o'clock position. He's adding in drilling claws. He's continuing siege tank production. He's even getting vehicle weapons started already here at the 8-minute mark, as well as 2-2. This is him setting up in what could be a very defensive posture. That doesn't mean that Oliveira is not necessarily going to attack. But should he decide to stay at home and try to play for that endgame, it absolutely is in the cards.
Whenever like they're talking, I like
this ridge on Ocean Pawn. Moving into the
I feel
this
rude
low ground
talking
area,
over them.
That's really awkward with tanks because you can get flanked. But the tanks on the
Wait,
ridge
they're
behind the rocks, I mean, that's always an excellent position to hang out. And this way you can clear the creep, start to push back, and a 5th command center does start. So yeah, Oliveira, I was wondering if he was just going to go hard on the aggression off a 4-base setup, but with a 5th command
but
center,
as they're saying, like really fast 4th base, really fast 5th base. This is an interesting style out of Oliveira, just being hyper greedy.
He's interestingly going for a Hydra Den. Lingbane still skirmishing at the front, trying to keep his creep spread forward.
Like, it's a really good way to launch yourself into late game.
Lingbane Hydra as like a flexible mobile army that kind of runs in, blows up a planetary, pulls back, goes and hits somewhere else? Or are we going to maybe see like Lurkinitis try to pop up in the back at the same time?
It could be Lurkinitis, but I think much more what you said before. It's going to be Lings, Banelings, and Hydras trying to keep the Terran under control because Reina right now, he's playing a very high drone style. 95 drones right now. He's expanding across the map to the top right, to the bottom left, taking control over effectively everything soon. I wouldn't even be surprised if we saw more hatcheries go down, whereas Oliveira, he's building all these extra sensor towers. He's making some pushes into the center, but really just to exert map control and start trading efficiently, not to go for killing blows. And so, if I'm looking at this game from Rainer's perspective, I'm thinking, I need to have a high economy, I need to max out, I need to flesh out these upgrades, get 2-2, get Adrenal, and then I need to start trying to kill the planetary and dampening the gas income of the Terran to stop them from reaching that end game Ghost Mech, which almost feels inevitable with the way that Oliveira is playing, now adding in an extra factory.
Yeah, the mass command centers as well. If you can start keeping the Terrans small before they get up to like 8 orbital command centers, stop them getting to the Iron Bank, that'll be big. You also want to mine these middle bases before the Terran gets too deep on the map.
As you're referring to, like, because of Oliveira's playstyle here, like, he's setting up so nicely. Raynor needs to get some damage done across the map, otherwise things are going to get out of hand very quickly. Oliveira's already maxed out. And this is something that Spirit was never able to do against Oliveira in their series.
Right there, he's already mining about the 2 o'clock expansion, so once the hatch rate gets up, and also this CC's taking a lot of damage. You got to lift that one up, Oliveira. As the Ling and Bailing now coming in, we'll be able to deal with some of this bio. Nice Widow Mine shots, but really, I'm waiting for all of these things to start to come together for Raynor. And by the way, look at this, Seismic Spines. Lurker range attack upgrade coming in, and once that comes through, I think you might be right about that Nidus Canal. It could be a way to kind of crack the shell of Oliveira, and right on cue, there it is.
Exactly as you said it there. Now, I like these skirmishes aren't too bad for either side. For the units, lost tab is something we do want to check in, because this is a game where neither side's committing 100%. These are small skirmishes, but you can already see about a 3,000 resource lost advantage for Oliveira. Now, obviously, you're going to mine a bit less, like overall resources on the map as Terran usually. And you spend
also, fun fact, it's one of these things where Oliveira actually doesn't have to push onto Raynor's side of the map, but denying creep and denying these center bases is massive.
For this moment in the game.
Absolutely is. Raynor coming in once again. Is going to be able to take out the planetary fortress with the Cracklings on the right side, as well as some siege stakes and bio going down. So a pretty good trade, actually. Look at Oliveira's supply. Plummet to 148, and it is so important for Terran to get Gas Geysers number 9 and number 10 online if you want to play this Ghost Mech style. He is going for Ghost Cloak. He's adding in Liberators, double factory siege tanks. He has Reactored, Widow Mines coming onto the field. Ghost production is coming in, 3-3, all these mechanical upgrades. All these things require a lot of gas pig, and as long as Raynor could just play this high eco style, those Banelings, high eco style, 90 plus drones, consume the map and prevent Oliveira from taking a 5th base, he will have this game won. Oliveira needs to try to find a way to secure this 5th base expansion and remain cost efficient. Raynor is going to try and stop it with another attack coming in.
Lots of Zerglings on the front line, not a lot of Marines. Hell, that's the Widow Mines in here. Only a sprinkling of these anti-Zergling units, and that's the weak spot Raynor keeps finding. There's a lot of tanks.
That was a much better fight for Oliveira.
Great units to counter Hydras, but he doesn't have enough to deal with the Zerglings. And now with a Nidus in the back as well, you can see he's getting stretched in all directions. He needs to re-center his defense on that top side, but he also needs to cover his main. Now that the Nidus is being shown, this is where Oliveira needs to commit to shutting it down, which means getting rid of this Overseer and building turrets on the edge of the map to make sure that never happens again. Because the distraction this causes can be game-ending. This is so difficult to deal with as a Terran. You've got to get rid of that Overseer and that Nidus in the 3rd base.
Yeah, I think Sim units coming down to the 3rd right now should be able to defuse that, but Rainer's going to use that as an opportunity to strike again at the 5th. This time, Lurker's coming in, Blinding Clad on the planetary and the siege tanks, but with those ghosts there in the front line and the Banelings defuse, Raynor should retreat. Snipes coming through. A lot of Lurkers go down.
Nice snipes there. Oh, is that another Nidus in the main though? Uh-oh, it's almost up. Lurkers are in there, ready to go. That Changeling, it was the Changeling from the earlier round. Defending pretty well.
I was gonna say that I actually really liked what Pig just did there. This is something that actually didn't happen in the last cast with Wardy and Fear Dragon. Is that as Pig was talking about the Nidus players, he was talking about like the styles that were actually occurring between the dynamic between Raynor and Oliveira. He was talking about like preventative measures that Oliveira would need to do to get a handle of the situation. It was nice.
Because if you let the map go truly split map, Oliveira
it was like a nice like additive part of his analysis of what was happening. So instead of like current play, which is what I would do. I would do like just regular play-by-play of what's going on and keeping up with the plays they're doing. But I like that
so that they can afford to be less cost efficient
added part at the end.
Go for a killing blow such as
Pig went for
taking down that 5th planetary.
You gotta go for one or the other, like you said. Why not go for both? You're doing good trades considerably, but you're still going to be behind on the trading. And on this map especially, those middle bases are so hard to take. The earlier you start mining them, the better. And it does only do 500 damage, so it can't take out a hatchery on its own. But I feel like Raynor has been just a little bit slow to get those middle bases mining, and Oliveira has done such a good job of stabilizing. He's got 3 command centers finishing. Another Overseer comes in. No turrets on that right side to intercept, though. This is allowing Raynor to really utilize his speed. Oliveira is having to defend 2 places at once, and he's not got many units on the south. That's such an exposed part of his economy. SCV SCVs in the open. Banelings are going to roll in. An Orbital and a Planetary getting blasted.
Yeah, this Planetary barely going to go down as the Ghosts come in to save the day, and Oliveira is going to use this as an opportunity to strike on the top right side. He realizes he's taking a lot of damage back at home, so he needs to disrupt the economy of his opponent, but for Raynor, he's not really centralizing his economy.
The Nidus finishes. He gets in.
The main base. We missed this. The Nidus Canal has popped in Oliveira's main, and now he has so many crises he needs to solve very quickly, lets his infrastructure fall.
Oliveira is a very aggressive player. He's really good at attacking. You can see his instincts take over there. He was out of position for the attack on the south, so he immediately counterattacked, but that left him open for this move. And that means he loses 31 SCVs, but he also loses southern position. Now his tanks have no support in the middle of the map. The Zerglings getting a fantastic trade. Nothing to counter the Zerglings. The tanks get cleared.
Hey, baby, show us the fungal.
Just spotting everything. Beautiful play.
Another Nidus network pops in the triangle third here of Oliveira. That's going to be even more SCVs going down, and more than that, just as Pig was saying, this is another attack Oliveira needs to pay attention to. And look, there's even, I believe, creep being dropped either by tumors or just from the Nidus right here with these lurkers. It's going to be so hard for Oliveira to regain control of this position, and Raynor is doing an
this game is reminding me of like a TY game from, was it Pro League or SSL?
Oliveira is
from a couple of years ago. I think it was like on Dust, was it Dust Towers?
Back at 2 o'clock.
Like TY versus Rogue or something? I don't know.
2 o'clock's the mistake because it's
but it's been really sick. Like Raynor, he's just been all over Oliveira, denying bases, busting into the main base, expanding behind it. Oliveira is maxed.
He's still maxed out with a lot of command centers, but he has to get rid of the vision in the back. And because he hasn't got a Viking, nor does he have turrets on the edges, these oversteers are going to keep sneaking along the backside. And he's letting Raynor continue to do that. And that's been the big thing that's costing him. If it wasn't for those Niduses, I guarantee you Oliveira would have a much better defensive setup on the front. As it is, he's got a giant army. He can still come back
Pig,
to this
like
game,
he's
changelings are just
rounding the commentary back to
to
the Nidus ones and like not being able to stop them.
He will get pushed back by the main force, but that Nidus is about to pop in the natural expansion. Another lurker burrows.
Wow, this one doesn't have too much stuff inside. Nothing popping out just yet, but big fight on the front. Wow, Blinding Cloud Banelings getting some good connections. Raynor didn't have enough army to feel confident continuing with that engagement. And the counterattack comes over, which means another one of these middle hatcheries going down. Remember, Raynor's had a big economy for a long time, but he's not able to really mine any of the middle resources. The longer this goes, the more it's going to move in Terran's favor. It's already a 10,000 lost resources advantage for the Terran. The Lurker's doing damage in the back.
This is wanting it back to what we said earlier about how these center bases, that's all that Oliveira has to deny. Deny the center bases here of Raynor, and if he can take them himself, like he's just going to take a lead.
In control of the situation and losing even more siege tanks over here on the left side. These are the kind of losses that he can no longer afford. His bank has been depleted. He is down at 150 supply. Raynor, his bank, it's still flourishing, very close to max, multiple thousands of resources in the bank. Another Nidus network about to pop, and the natural expansion does get defused by siege tanks and by these Marines. And Oliveira, he needs to try and find a way to slow this game down and quiet it, because you see right there on screen the income advantage. It is huge right now for Raynor. He even went down from 95 drones all the way down to 80. That's a lot of because of Oliveira's aggression, but Raynor is making a conscious decision not to repopulate those because he wants to try and attack. And he might be setting up for a big play with this
Fungal could come in from behind that Infestor.
Look at the ghosts.
Yeah, if he gets the dual in Fungal on that, that'll be huge. But the Infestor needs to be far enough away from the ball. It doesn't just get shot straight away. Uh-oh. Oh, no Hellbats, no Marines. Tanks and a few Widow Mines. Not going to be able to answer these Zerglings at any time you find those unsupported units. Those do so well. Abducting a couple of Ghost and Snipes to answer it. But I think still very good trades for a Raynor that is still relatively rich compared to Oliveira in this game.
Yeah, these thing runners are brutal. They bust into the middle line, tanks going down, workers all dragging Oliveira out of position even further.
He has about 500 minerals left in the bank. He's adding in another flood of about 60 lings, but the mining has been severely disrupted. Over there on the left side, you see some distance mining. At the top side as well, that hatchery hardly saturated at all. And should Oliveira take a strong fight with the kind of ghost that he has, he might be able to ride the momentum because Raynor has such a discrepancy between his gas and his mineral bank. He can't really repopulate. He needs to be able to survive and stay safe.
Raynor's not really mining off that top middle base, is he? And I think it might even be a misplaced hatchery. So you see he's finally transferred. It is a misplaced hatchery, but that's been not mining for minutes on end. And that southern base got denied, and it was blocked from being retaken by a Widow Mine. So yeah, Raynor's mineral income actually isn't ahead right now. You can see Oliveira's got 2 blue arrows now. Obviously that's mules in action.
The Pig is reiterating, let's stay with
income, at least temporarily. But if Oliveira remaxes, it is scary for, as we've said, Reyna's resources will run out in the long run much faster. Now, he's still got a few minutes where he does have a lot more minerals available, but only a few minutes.
Oh, this time
Once
we're in
those
position.
minutes are out, Oliveira is naturally in a stronger position, so Reyna's still got some real urgency here. Those changelings, good handling of it this time. I feel like Oliveira is really respecting those oversteers and their changelings this time around.
These infestors burrowed all over the map are so scary. Look at the full force of Raynor coming in here on the left side. He wants to sneak down this base yet again and also prevent Oliveira from taking this 6th base at the 7 o'clock position. For now, he is successful, but keep in mind, Raynor, again, very
Oh, the Viper! No!
Just like that Viper does in the main base of Oliveira. Another engagement coming in. Raynor is going to back off, and he needs to be careful. The upgrades are good, but look at the supplies. 187 to 170, but Oliveira with the army supply lead.
I'd love to see Raynor rotate to that northern base with a big wave of his Ducklings, get on top of those tanks, or getting up the middle. He's just going to try and bust the south head-on collision. And a good trade, picks off a few tanks, pulls back. He's looking to really stretch out Oliveira's attention. Oliveira's struggling to keep up with Reynor's pace. I mean, Reynor's pace on these Nidus Worms. Talk about an annoying person to play against. He's just non-stop.
I mean, I would say that Oliveira, he's been adapting to the pace of Raynor at the moment. Like, earlier, Raynor was pulling Oliveira apart, but now, like, it's been a while since one of these Nidus Worms has gotten up and running. Like, Oliveira, he's keeping up.
Oliveira, the anti-ling shots that he needs from these splash damage units.
Another Nidus into the main. How many of these is he gonna manage? This is why I'm saying, like, a Viking.
But this is what I mean, like,
you've got to get a Viking
for the past couple of minutes, Raynor, he's been trying to get these Nidus Worms up and running, but it's not happening. Not anymore.
And 75 gas each time. So, like, in the very long run of the game, Raynor's
once again, like, we're here for it.
Super long term, man.
Oliveira, he's ready.
Raynor's done this where he knows that the Nidus Canals are getting defused by these siege tanks that are set up in the main base, the natural and the third. So now he's just flying the Overseer over the siege tank and popping it in melee range. So it has to be assisted by Bio, or it has to unsiege. It's just so
cheeky
funny.
move.
More Bailings now morphing in the base.
Oliveira, he notices. He's been so fast. Like, Oliveira, he's been so fast to respond to this.
I'd really like to see Raynor bust that middle ridge planetary.
Like, reacting so well to whether it's Nidus Worms, Bailey run bys.
In the bottom left. I think if you bust the planetary on the middle high ground, you can actually just start running
It's
into
been
the
impressive.
third base, and that's so vulnerable.
There goes.
Ducklings do jump on top. There's more tank slips and Ghost behind it, though. This is an angle where, like I said, I don't want Raynor to keep fighting here. He's got to rotate and hit the other areas, because on this map, if you get trapped into fighting head-on repeatedly on that ramp, it's going to go massively in Terran's favor. We can already see that. Not only is the base getting denied, but the unit's lost tab is getting better and better.
Hatchery's going down. Nidus Worm is denied.
Raynor's let Oliveira max out. And for a style that was meant to be inefficient, remember, he's mined almost nothing off the middle bases. He's only now starting to mine the right side middle base. He's just not able to get Nidus Worms up anymore. He's still on Lingbane Hydra. He's got to find a way to trade effectively, which just is not happening. Oliveira is being so cautious.
So they're taking middle base. He didn't take it. Raynor, I think he literally just saturated the center right base.
With Oliveira securing
like this base here.
In the bottom left after retaking the 5th and then going for the 6th. Now suddenly he has.
But he hasn't been mining it for long enough.
For the first time, he is ahead in supply. He is ahead in bank.
Like, Oliveira's actually looking really good right now.
Weathered the 20-minute storm that was the aggression.
Yeah, like, Raynor finally saturates the center right base. It's going to be shut down.
High yield base like this one, fully saturated on minerals. Raynor is going to be
Oliveira's actually been playing like crazy.
I mean, Oliveira's been turtling.
He's been so fast.
Basically, you know, it's been 15+ minutes of him just turtling up, sitting there defensively, getting to this position, but he's there now. He's got so many orbitals, he's got so many mules, he's still building more and more command centers, and he's hanging on very nicely, and Raynor seems to be running out of ideas at this point.
Yeah, Raynor, he's falling behind.
Raynor hates playing. If it gets to this point where it feels a little bit of a stalemate, that's where Raynor starts to really struggle. And this was obviously Oliveira's plan.
There is fungal potential.
I'm going to put you where you hate to play. This has been a big issue for you over the last few years. Everybody knows it because you publicly talk about how you hate playing these slow games. You like movement.
We catch the infestor. We caught it.
He's just not able to get that going because it's just this Nidus Worm move, which was working well earlier, but he has not been able to find the repeat value, and he doesn't seem to have another option.
A clutch infestor unburrow might be the Hail Mary that Raynor needs to come back in this one.
It has to be the fungal.
Army here for Oliveira is so strong. Watch this infestor on the left side. If he can get some kind of engagement, some kind of fungal.
It's gonna come. If we can fungal all these ghosts, then Raynor can win a fight. Otherwise, Raynor, he's being bullied back. Up! Does he see?
He's got to make the play soon, though. He's got to make it soon.
He's going for. Oh, he sees! No! Oh, we catch the infestors.
At some point,
that was it. That was the chance.
Losing these trades very badly. Anytime you're sitting on the edge of tanks and ghosts, it's terrible for Zerg.
Yeah, Oliveira, he's just bullying Rainer back.
Rainer seems to be stuck in a bit of a corner right
No
now.
shot. Nidus Worm finishes across the map, but it doesn't matter.
He's got to
Not anymore.
blow up the bases of Oliveira. The longer he sits here, the harder this is going to get. Oliveira is grinding him down right now.
Yeah, more snipes coming in, and just look at this defensive position. Oliveira is locked in. The Ghost, they're basically even taking
Yeah,
the
massive
forefront
snipes
of the
going
fight.
off. He done it. He broke him, Papi.
I cannot believe it. He let so many 90 swarms get up. Most players would crack under that
GG. Oh my god. That was crazy. GG, well played.
Crumble under the pressure. That was impressive.
That was one of the most impressive defensive TVZs I have.
Yeah, I was so, likewise, I was so impressed with the speed of Oliveira. What I'm referring to, I say speed, like his reaction time. If you remember, it was in the lead up to Oliveira stabilizing, where he was able to keep up with non-stop Nidus Worms and run-bys like throughout, what, the main, the natural, the third, the fourth base. It was crazy. Like at first they were doing damage. At first they were pulling Oliveira apart, but at a certain point he got accustomed to like the non-stop harassment of Rainer and just completely shut him down. It was crazy. Like we'd see like a Nidus Worm pop up in the natural, and then bam, there'd just be units there to shut it down. Then Nidus Worm into the main, and it would just be shut down again. Like it was crazy.
Once he finally secured that 5th base, got Kaiser's number 9 and number 10, and then the 6th base, and the Mules rained
And Rainer never
down.
got the center bases.
He was able to build up the bank, build up the
I see in the
army,
chat,
and
someone
attack
said,
the
what they
bases
say?
on the side.
Zerg taking a middle base though, Terran is behind. No. A Zerg player taking the center base would be to stay even, because the Zerg player needs to be up on bases. If the Zerg and the Terran are even on bases, then the Terran's ahead. And so because Rainer never got a center base, like it was like he just could never keep up. Whenever he tried to expand, Oliveira, he was doing such a great job at denying it. Oliveira was doing such a great job at just denying the hatcheries over and over again. Like here, like he would just knock them down before Rainer could actually mine. And by the time Rainer took center right, we spoke about it. As soon as he took it, then Oliveira, he was there. He was just there to punish it.
Smash into the north base.
Crazy.
Remax, smash into the south base, and take a few kind of sloppy bad trades in there. But I think Oliveira was still in that build-up point, and you got to realize once the Terran gets up 10, 12 orbitals, once they have unlimited mules and they can just replace
The
those
Oliveira
command
fans.
centers, remax those armies, it hits a point where you can't quite recover. You got to get them before those orbitals have
I think
paid
this
off
game
and
was
before
really good
they've
as
got
well
that
because
infrastructure
I know
set
there are a
up.
bunch
And I
of
think Oliveira did such a good job of just speed running to that
there are a bunch of Oliveira like
And once they got there, you could see
deniers.
how
Like they don't want to
drastically
believe that
the trade
Oliveira is
changed. It felt like Rainer
good.
was kinda helpless
They're
in
like,
the
no,
back.
yeah, you know, he like stumbled his way into a win or something. Like for IM Katowice for his World Championship win. But this was like a really impressive game. Like I could see Bjorn just dying horribly to this. Like to Rainer in game one. Most Terran players, to be honest.
One of your foreign hopes, it is Rainer.
Versus Butterfly 5 minutes and they never fungled. Yeah, they never like found a good opportunity.
To allow him to play.
Like Oliveira's doing such a great job at like finding them when he was vulnerable.
Let's see what he's got in store for game 2. In the top left side of the map, representing CranKy Gaming, it's Oliveira.
GG.
So much support for Oliveira.
I'm loving how many Oliveira fans are in the chat.
That is amazing. And
Oh, so not in the chat,
I love this guy. He shows
in the crowd.
so much passion for the game. You can see it when he wins any
So
single
good.
match on stage. Like that game 1 versus Rainer, the headset comes off. He is living the moment.
Ooh,
he is
pull
feeding
first.
on the crowd's energy. His fist
Pull
is
first
in
back.
the air. I mean, this guy is just electric. And what a stunning game number 1 here against Rainer. I want to see what he brings to the table here in game number 2.
Just a normal man, you know. That interview after that World
Chat is
Championship,
IRL
I think,
chat.
will
Not wrong.
be
You're not
something
wrong,
most of
Warehog.
us never forget. He just practiced like he'd never practiced before, adjusted his time zone to the tournament, something he regularly does now when he's traveling to events. So there's zero jet lag concerns. Just does a little bit of a physical workout and then basically trains, studies videos, watches replays for the rest of his day. Lives and breathes StarCraft. And I really feel like Oliveira traditionally was a timing attack player. He was good with multitasking, momentum, aggression, all those standard Terran traits. But how he has evolved to the point where he can play a game like that is so defensive, where he's saying, look, I know this might not be the thing that traditionally I'm the best player at, but this is the best way to take advantage of Reynor, and it worked just like clockwork. Beautiful play.
Like I said, it was a Maru level defensive TBZ, and Maru makes it look easy, but it is not easy. There's very few Terran players in the world who can make a style like that work, and the fact that Reynor is just so against it.
Oh, 6
seconds. Plays to his advantage, and yeah, look at these Ducklings coming in.
Why they pulled back though?
I don't know why they
the
pulled
Reaper
back.
is still there.
Did he catch it?
Yeah,
I wasn't sure because of the first person view.
Yeah,
but
Reaper
it seems
stays
like
back.
Oliveira has a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's rough.
SCV scout, really safe play, and because of that, he keeps the Reaper at home. So Reynor just keeps his Zerglings alive. Says, look, if I go in there, I can deny the building time a little bit, but. Oh, he does go in. He's going to commit. He's just committing a bit later. Oh, the Reaper does survive. Oh, is that Command Center going to finish? No, the SCV has to pop off, and the Reaper and the Marine come to the low ground. Should be able to out-micro this. Oliveira, the 3 Zerglings coming in. You don't want to be losing that Reaper or that Marine.
What a hero, SCV. Give that SCV a medal. Give that SCV a medal. Look at those kills.
Wow. And he even shot the depot. He said, why was the door open? No, that was clean, dude. SCV getting a kill as well.
A really nice defense there from Oliveira. Again, especially considering that Reynor, he went pool first, doesn't get any damage done, doesn't really delay the CC for long either.
Being a nice start for Terran.
And it's a really fast 3CC opener again for Oliveira, but this time a little bit
double
of a different
Cyclone?
flavor. He's not going for the Hellions, instead going for the Cyclones, and only just now adding in the second gas as well as the second barracks.
I wonder if he tries to sneak the Cyclones out. I know on this map, the Overlord can't quite see the edge.
It's very
so you'll
close.
sometimes see the Overlord like just move off the pillar.
Yeah, I think they just like touched on it, but
might try to sneak out that like.
yeah, that last game was
right
crazy.
Yeah. I think
I'll be honest. I think the only player that could have pulled that off as well is Maru. Like when it comes to other Terrans, like whether it's Clem, whether it's
you can surround them. They're not
Beyond,
Cure. If they catch you off guard, they can be quite annoying.
That's how impressive Oliveira looked in game 1. That was wild.
To deal with. It looks like Oliveira may have just made these as a general safety precaution though, because pool first often leads into like a 5 roach pressure.
So I'm eating Omiya.
So they're not too bad of a unit to invest in. He actually even uses a scan to take out the Overlord, prioritizing information denial in this game.
Yeah, a bit of an expensive move there for Oliveira, but anything you can do to keep a player like Reynor in the dark, who is just so smart when it comes to reacting to information. He's very much like Cyril in that regard. I like that move for Oliveira. Anything you can do to try to make the game harder for Reynor to play.
And Reynor seems to have almost bought the bait a little bit. He's massing Lings.
Yeah.
So he's got like a bunch of Lings going for a counterattack, and then he's also just massing extra Zerglings at home rather than droning. So it feels like he's saying, okay, you're going to go for Cyclone Hellion pressure. I got to be safe against this, because it's almost always Cyclone Hellion. You never in this matchup see 2 Cyclones into 2 Barracks Marine, but that's exactly what Oliveira is doing. This is why he denied the Overlord. So now you got a Reynor.
Yeah, this is double Cyclone opener into 2-1-1.
Drones really early, build very few defensive
This is
units.
wild.
Now he's below the Terran in workers, which is a rough start for the Zerg.
Double engineering bay coming in at the same time as the evolution chamber, so at least Reynor won't be too far behind in that regard. They should be equal in step, at least through 2-2, if both players are on top of it. And I think Reynor right now might be catching wind, because those Hellions and Cyclones, they haven't presented themselves. Even the Ling coming in, scouts the engineering base, still sees those 2 Cyclones. Reynor isn't exactly sure what this could be yet.
What they were emphasizing here is that Reynor, he massed up all these Lings, and they were meant to defend against Hellions that never came. So all those Lings could have been drones, and Reynor doesn't take as much of an economic lead as he should have.
No, not at all. He's been duped a little bit. Now, he should be fine with the Queens and the Zerglings at home. He's going to have to build a few more Lings to make sure he's safe. And there is 3 more barracks going down behind it. Oliveira's being very tricky, playing a very off-meta style. Hard for the Zerg to read. You never want to let a guy like Reynor just play against something that he's comfortable against. And Oliveira and prioritizing Reynor being uncomfortable, trying to throw him out of his element. This is just a smart way to play this whole tournament long. The last few tournaments, Reynor's looked a little bit more tiltable. He looks more upset when he loses games. He used to always have a smile on his face. Win or lose, he'd kind of be laughing, jamming out to his music. And I really feel like this is something Oliveira's clued into, and he said, let's just not let you feel confident. I can't let you be that vibing Reynor who's got his Italian rap music in his ears, and he's just having fun. I need to make this as unfun for you as possible to win this series.
He succeeded in doing that in game number 1 for sure. I mean, that was 10, 15 minutes of Reynor just absolutely in frustration, trying to kill a Terran that was so close to death but wouldn't die until the inevitable happened, and Oliveira grew too big, took over the map, and just won the game from that position. And now once again here for Reynor, I mean, losing the momentum and feeling a little bit duped like this, it's not the best feeling. He's still behind in workers to an Oliveira who is macroing up to 3 bases and continuing pressure like this on the left side. Transfuses coming in will save that Queen. Oliveira should be able to get hot pickup after trading out these Marines for some Zerglings. And behind it, A lot more power incoming through. Second factory added in.
Yeah, like,
Armory
this is such an interesting game. Like, I'll be honest, I'm like really enthralled by what Oliveira is doing. Like, technically, not a lot has actually happened this game, but Oliveira's in a really good position. Like, because of the opener, because of the failed pull first, because of the juke, especially when it came to the build of Oliveira, going for the Cyclones, getting into his bio play. Like, it feels like a lot has actually happened, despite the fact that there hasn't been a lot of action, and Oliveira's ahead. It's crazy.
Easily take the corners if you turtle up. If you play like that last game, think about where those middle bases were on Oceanborn. And they're like
range upgrade.
right
Okay.
next to the 4th and 5th base of Terran. In this map, they're out in the corners. So I think if we end up in a similar sort of holding pattern where Oliveira with a fast forward command center seems to be wanting to go to a big macro game, that may be advantageous to Raynor. So far, just denying creep, looking for little trades, and doing a good job of not overcommitting. And Raynor also has done a great job of getting back into a good macro spot. I mean, you give Raynor an awkward opening, you make him take some damage, you make him misread the play. Two minutes later, he's back on 85 workers, he's ahead in supply, and he's just like got...
Like, what Pig's referring to here is that because Oliveira is going for a 4CC, he's not going for a timing. If he was going for a timing, then Raynor would be in trouble because he's been busy droning instead of making Ling Bane. So there was maybe a window, an opportunity there, but Oliveira's playing macro. Like, he's going for a longer game.
Coming in. I love this engagement for Oliveira. These Widowmines should be able to get some pretty big value as he kites back away from the Lings, but Raynor defusing them quite well. Now recharging with the Banelings isn't going to be enough. Transfuses are buying time right now on the Queen. Banelings rolling in. Widowmines are on cooldown.
Oh my god.
So he should be able to shoot Oliveira.
Calm down.
Oh, look at that focus
Oh my
fire.
god.
Wow.
Oliveira bringing out some of that old school Beyond style, just frustrating focus fire, poking in and out, letting those Marines get some good trades. And this is low risk pressure. Remember, at any point he gets in trouble, he picks up, he walks away.
Yeah.
But he's got a Liberator in the back.
Yeah,
as
the
well.
Tripod in fact. We have the Liberator from one end, we have double drop on the left, double drop on the right hand side. Where are the Banelings?
The Queens pulls back there, only loses like 1 or 2 Marines in a medevac. The Liberator is
Oh
dancing
my god.
around.
He's everywhere.
Struggling to keep pace with this. Is this going to do game ending?
You're meant to be a
No,
noble
but it's doing
man.
Such a good job of slowing
Oliveira.
Raynor down, while Oliveira races up to that 4-base setup.
Yeah, he's using this to get an even better position on the map. These Widowmines burrowing could get really big hits on them.
Oh my god.
The Lings. Not the best one right
I mean, that was a good mind shot on the Lings,
but
but
rotate around to the other side of that third base.
I thought for sure it was
Still
going to
no
be the
Spork
Banelings.
getting rid of the Liberator. That's still denying mining on that 5th. 101 drones for Raynor though. 101 drones. Raynor is rich in this game. The style that he popularized many years ago was going up to 110 workers. Playing Lurker, Hydra, Ling Bane. A return to that rich Zerg play here for Raynor, but his creep spread not what we're used to seeing. He's still building more drones. He's actually going to go back to almost 100.
He is going for
workers.
110.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, with the losses he's sustaining right now, he kind of needs that economy to keep fuel in the tank as Oliveira is just unrelenting. Look at that shot with the Widowmine. So many Lings going down. Cyclone even absorbing some of the impact right there on the Banelings. Not a bad trade for Oliveira, and the pressure.
Yeah, Oliveira, he's been trading so well here.
He will not stop.
Biomine coming in. Those mines not getting the biggest shots, but it's just non-stop, as you said there, State. The Ling Bane is starting to go down. We're going to have to check in on that unit's lost tab at some point after these
How many
fights,
Banelings do we have behind this, by the way?
Like Oliveira's not losing anything important.
Oliveira, he's gaining ground.
Mines are in there, and Raynor is just stuck on the back foot, getting gunned down. The Biomine do take a bit of a Baneling hit there, and we've got still the drop unloaded on the left side, ready to come in again. Yeah, another
These
good
Widowmines have been brutal. They've actually been brutal.
Yeah, you're down 30 workers, but does that really matter? I don't
For
think
Raynor.
you want that many more workers than this as the Terran. You'd rather max out on a bigger army. You've got Ghosts, Libs, +3 weapons on the way, 5th command center. The only thing, actually the 6th command center building, 5th one's already floating out, is +3 armor got forgotten for a little bit, but he's already noticed it. Oliveira is on point. He's just not getting carried away. A lot of people in this high pressure moment looking to qualify for that Esports World Cup, looking to get to the semi-finals as such a massive tournament here in Dallas. Would get excited, but Oliveira is cool, calm, and collected, and Raynor is unable to get him out of store.
Raynor, even with this 107 drone economy, just really can't muster the forces he needs to get maxed and actually take some good engagements here against Oliveira. I feel like every single trade is just Oliveira killing Raynor by 1,000 cuts. Now another fight coming in. Hydras have entered the field here for Raynor. That should be a strong backbone behind the Ling Hydra, or behind the Ling Bane, to try and hold on against this aggression. And that means that Oliveira, for the first time in a long time, not getting the best trades. Even that
Friendly fire.
in. The Widowmine shot to the bio. Very well played there by Raynor, but Oliveira behind all of this, I mean, the medevac count has ballooned to an extreme number. He's taken his 5th base.
Yeah, this was maybe the best fight of the game so far for Raynor. Finally he has like a moment to breathe. Gets a breathing room, force Oliveira back the hell up. Taking the gold base towards the bottom left. Scan does reveal the gold.
Able to secure it, especially if the Zerg goes for the gold base, which overall has less minerals than the blue base in the top right. It can be devastating for Zerg. I think if Raynor wants to win this game, he needs to control the bottom left and the bottom right at minimum.
And there's no mass orbital. This is not the same late game as the last one, right? This is, I'm going to take the bases in mine with high SPV count, but I'm just getting a big army. I'm keeping the pressure. It's non-stop biomine pressure. Now with Libs and Ghost coming in, this is an unrelenting style where Oliveira is doing a giant macro push, and Raynor has such a high worker count. I don't know if he can get enough army up to clean this out. Hydrolink Bane running forward.
Yeah, this is where the high worker count is working against Raynor. Does force some friendly fire.
Oh, more units are coming around from the left there, looking to intercept any reinforcements. He does hold it back for now. And Oliveira looking to siege those Libs forward. Drop finds the bottom left base. The gold minerals are exposed. He's coming back on the north at the same time. The Banelings coming forward, but the Libs and the mines are going to defend.
Oliveira still just taking such good trades, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there with 100+ workers right now. Once Oliveira reaches these maxed armies, he's having Raynor, I should say, is having a very hard time taking the cost-efficient trades that he needs. I believe he needs lurkers. He needs lurker range to really anchor the defense. Otherwise, I'm not sure how he stabilizes because it's
Oliveira, he killed the gold, by the way, with the drop. Like we saw it doing damage earlier, but that was a kill.
Now setting his eyes on the 9 o'clock expansion. Will he be able to take that planetary out?
Oh, Baneling Hydra does catch it. Raynor finally gets a big opening here. And remember, Oliveira doesn't have mass orbital behind this yet. He's not as strong.
He's gonna keep pushing. He doesn't care.
Nice burrowed Baneling move for Raynor. But he might have to give up this base, and indeed he will. He's going to abandon ship, move those drones to the bottom left side, would be the way to do it. He's got a Nidus Worm on the way. Lurker upgrades coming in as well. Oliveira pushing forwards. Both
Raynor is down to 4 bases.
Not that high on the bank. Oliveira slightly below max. Raynor is maxed out. He's getting a lot of Hydras. He's got to be wary. Too many Hydras can chew up your supply, and they get kind of stuck behind each other. You've got to have enough Ling Bane to actually force those Marines and Marauders to get out of there.
And now Oliveira pivoting into the main base, and then a little bit of hesitation instead, trying to decide where the best angle of attack is going to be. And my goodness, I mean, it's such a high medevac count. He can just choose to take the fight he wants to take. Wow. Look at the ghost.
Oh, the snipes.
Almost every single Hydra. This base gets denied here by Oliveira, and at the same time,
he's pulling Raynor apart. It's crazy. He's going to the gold base once again. He's pushing towards the 4th as well.
Has lightning fast reactions. The triangle third once again getting denied as Oliveira with what looks like on the board a relatively small force is just everywhere.
Gold base goes down.
Wow, the way Oliveira is playing this from super turtly on Oceanborn on a small map to on the big map playing a faster, more mobile, pushing style, and Raynor purely defensive. For a player who's known for his aggression, his speed, and his micro, Raynor has been playing a very defensive style, and he hasn't quite been able to really be like saying, hey, I'm running into your base and blowing your workers up here. I'm attacking over there. The Nidus Worms are finally going to start trying to go up, but Oliveira is so aware of it. The Changelings.
No, this feels like Raynor versus Spirit earlier today, but reverse. Like I don't know. It's crazy.
Win like a Nidus Canal in the main base to disrupt the flow that Oliveira is in, because
like I said earlier, leading into this series, that I was concerned about Oliveira coming into this coming into a TVZ just because we haven't really been seeing him look too impressive against other Zerg players.
And already the cost efficiency is just through the roof.
But like Oliveira's actually been looking so impressive here.
I mean, once again, this army,
it's crazy.
126 supply, only 74 SCVs. Widow mines.
Like his build, his builds of choices, his approach to the game itself, his reaction time, his multitasking.
One of them already falling there on the front line. Another one falling. Yeah, there's no overseer.
No overseer.
Oh no, the cloak goes to ruin.
And lurkers are going down. Another hatchery as well.
He's got lurkers on the other side to Nidus Worm.
To get into the main.
Be a playmaker, but he's got nothing at home to defend. Okay, Lings do come forward. Parasitic bombs are big. The Zerglings getting on top of the overly stim bio. Nice move for Raynor. He won't be able to take it out on this first move. He needs a remax, but he's out of cash. Oliveira has more money in the bank. Raynor desperately trying to jump on top. He needs to get.
There's no way to take out the Liberators. They're defending.
Ghost and Snipe is a big problem.
And now Oliveira in the main base is cleaning up the whole attack. Liberator sieged up as well as Ghost and Widow Mines. All the reinforcements from Oliveira's infrastructure is being dedicated to stopping these lurkers. And for right now, Raynor, he does have a little bit of momentum back on his side. He was able to defuse the situation. He's even
yeah, this Nidus play, if it wasn't for these Nidus worms, then I think maybe Raynor would have just died, 100%. He would have just crumbled then and there to the pressure.
Raynor simply doesn't have the economy. He's on a 4-hatch eco. The gold base and the triangle third are only just now being replenished.
Yeah, that is such a big problem, isn't it? I mean, he's rebuilding them. He's got 70 workers, but every lurker he pops out here, he's kind of dripping units into a point where it's going, I'm distracting you, but he's not really killing much. What do you get? A few more SCVs, put a few buildings on fire. If he was killing bases at the same time, that would be worth it. But I feel like the last few Niduses and Lurkers there, they basically fed value to Oliveira. He's still got Command Center in the north. He's still got very good mineral income. You can see those little blue arrows in between both of their minerals on the bottom of your screen. That does tell you the income advantage. Sure, Raynor's got a massive gas advantage. That does not matter. They're both running low on minerals. The Lurker Hydra Viper push, this is so important. If you can get that Command Center, that'd be big.
Yeah, Raynor needs to win right now. Oliveira's bank is too high.
Oh, the freedom!
Coming in on the Liberators. One of them going down. The second one also going down. Parasitic Bomb also huge. Able to get a lot of damage. The same time in the picture-in-picture. See the Lurkers on the right side. Taking down the Planetary. If they can't stop that from the repair, it will be huge for Raynor. He's getting the wins on the map that he needs.
Dude, I thought Raynor was pretty much done for in this game.
He's coming back.
What we always know Raynor has, and that is fighting spirit. There's a reason we call him the Italian Stallion, because he fights from behind all the time, and he always shows us that attitude, that ability to make comebacks. A player who's renowned.
Wow, he's breaking through. If he can bust into the natural.
Fling, Bane, Hydra, Lurker coming in, abducting the Libs at every turn. Those Liberators are just not getting any value now because the Vipers keep taking them out. The Lurkers don't have an answer. There's no Ghost here with energy.
God, what is the Ghost count right now? Do we even have enough to get on the field to stop this push in the natural expansion? There's only 3. And Oliveira, who just a moment ago had this massive bank.
Wow, the Lunkers, Papi.
Completely exhausted trying to handle this, and Raynor has somehow miraculously, with this attack on the bottom left and the top right, taken the momentum away from Oliveira and almost even tied up the resources lost in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, this was huge. The Viper usage against the Libs has stacked up so much value over the last 2 minutes. They have taken so many Libs out of siege mode. The Hydras are just taking them down.
Oh, this is huge, though. Without any Lurkers or Banelings to defend back at home, Oliveira, he's going for the base trade.
You got to be a little careful of that. But if you can defend this attack at home, that's all that matters.
Never mind, we had enough. GG. Oh my god. The crowd.
And avoiding a 0-2 position that would have been nigh impossible to come back from. That was an impressive win.
I thought Raynor was dead to rights, Pig.
Yeah.
After that,
I think we all I think we all just assumed that Raynor was dead. Like, he was up against the wall. Oliveira was playing his mind out there. That was crazy.
Oliveira has the map position. And then
but whether it's the Vipers, whether it's, I mean, we spoke about it at the time. We should be seeing it here in the replays, but the Nidus room into the main base was massive. Like, that was the moment that Raynor started the comeback.
If he doesn't make that move at that instant, this game is done.
That was insane.
He's down 0-2 in this best of 5, but he just has that game sense to go for it. The one moment, the one opportunity, and he seizes it, rides it to a victory. What a come from behind win.
Yeah, a few more minutes, and think about how much Ghost energy there would have been. You know, if you delay those fights, those Ghosts that bank in energy.
Yeah, this one. This is the Nidus room into the main base as Oliveira was pushing out.
And yeah, it felt like such a vicious.
And this is where Raynor just barely held against this push.
Oliveira came across the map. This push looked like it might break him, but out of medevac energy, that was a clutch hold right there. The second wave of Zerglings overwhelmed, and then this counter attack to the other side. And the Libs we see in small numbers. Libs aren't.
We have StarCraft.
The Vipers looked amazing. But there weren't any EMPs ready for the Vipers. There was no snipes ready for the Lurkers.
That feels bad, man. No. That was great.
You don't have the answer to them, man. Things start to spiral out of control. Really nice comeback for Raynor on Golden Aura.
Yeah, but it's a little bit concerning about the rest of the series for me because
for
a long time during that game, Oliveira did seem like he was in control, and it was a very different style from what he showcased there in game number 1, as you said.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of slept on this series. I think a lot of people did, but this series is
of just being this
living up. I mean, not. I was gonna say living up to the hype. No, it's exceeding the hype, Papi.
I can't wait to get into this map on site Delta.
I'll say so far this has probably been the best series of the tournament.
Miraculous victory, tying the series 1-1. Give him your energy, he needs it. It is the Basilisk Zerg.
Like, this is better than any of the Cero matches we've had so far, any of the Maru ones. This is actually crazy.
Meeting some resistance then, Game.
Take it all the way.
Looking overall fantastic. He's going to go onto a big, wide open map. We might see a similar style again from him here. It would suit this map very well. In the top left side, your reigning world champion, CranKy Gaming's Oliveira.
That game slapped. Game 1 and Game 2. Both of them.
If I was Rainer, I would also be worried. State, I love the way you put that. Both of those games were going really not in the direction he wanted. And if I was him, I think I'd put on that Italian rap music. He does seem to be singing to himself.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Step 1, get in your groove. Step 2, build Mutalisks. Step 3, don't let him get to 4 and 5 bases. Like, just play a little bit of a dicier build, getting that win so you're not on match point. You know, you're not about to be defeated. Do something a little riskier here. Get the Mutalisk, get the
I think that's the thing about Oliveira's playstyle so far. Something to emphasize here, both in Game 1 and Game 2, is that Oliveira went for insanely fast 4th bases. More so in Game 1, but even in Game 2, like, we have really fast 4th CCs into a 5th CCs. Like, Oliveira, he has been quite actually greedy in his play these 2 games. Game 2 was different because it was hyper aggressive, but he also got away with a weird opener. Like, it was just wild. I feel like there's a lot of layers. There's layers to what we've been seeing here from Oliveira.
I want to see Rainer really take this game by the horns and try to take Oliveira out or put the pain on him earlier. Maybe a Massling Bane style of just 3 or 4.
But I agree. I would like to see more aggression out of Rainer early on, whether it's Roach play, whether it's Ling Bane play.
You can be purely defensive against the guy as good as Oliveira. We've seen how hard those first 2 games were.
And Site Delta being a map with so many different pathways you can run those.
Because what it comes down to, because Rainer's been more reactive here, and he's been like, it feels like Rainer's been expecting like earlier pushes that haven't been happening. Like Oliveira's gotten away with a lot.
4 or 5 bases here is Terran, much harder than on Oceanborn, much harder than on Golden Aura. And so for Rainer, I think I'm right there with you. If he gets a lot more aggressive, if he leverages that 90+, 100+ drone economy into pure aggression and tries to punish the greed of Oliveira, I think he absolutely has a chance to end this game far before Oliveira is comfortable. Because Oliveira right now in the late game, he feels like he is firing on all cylinders. He was very close to winning game number 2. In game number 1, there were moments where it was scary for him, but they were in the mid game. They were not in the late game. And so for Rainer, I think either in the mid game, you come in with the aggression, you go for the kill early on, or in the late game, if you get to 110 drones, you got to spend all of those resources on going for the kill. Do not let Oliveira build this army that he's been assembling from game 1 to game 2.
Indeed. We're going to see how Rainer addresses the problems he's run into. Do the same, do it better, or does he change up tack and try to mix it up? For now, Oliveira,
yeah, like this is like a line of like commentary that I wasn't expecting coming into this series is like Rainer can't win in the late game. Like it's like Oliveira's, he's terrifying, he's too scary. We need to like all in. It's like that's where we are right now. Off of these 2 games. And I mean I agree. It's crazy.
You're making cloak, and then Rainer makes oversteers, he makes spores, he builds extra queens. Meanwhile, this is a defensive Banshee. You might go in, pick off a drone or 2, but you're not actually really committing. This is just a move to kind of get a bit of air control.
Yeah, and I love him canceling it, spending that money on other resources, on other things that cost resources, and then restarting it as that Overlord is coming into the main base. And Rainer is going to come in. Will he get duped? Will he start it again? Interference Matrix? But now's the time for the fake. It is a little bit too late. I'm not sure if Rainer is going to be falling for that one. If he was paying attention, he would have seen that that tech lab was not upgrading at the moment. It should have been upgrading.
Indeed. Did the first Banshee already come out?
Yeah, he just popped.
Okay, so he is making 2 Banshees. Stim does start up there, and of course, now that the Overlord's gone, you can cancel Interference Matrix.
Safe opener by Rainer. Lair first into
That's
Bane
odd.
Nest.
I guess just in case the Zergling runs into your base.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, actually.
This is really weird. He's like, no. I'm going to swap to Ravens, and I need to be able to Interference Matrix those Vipers 23 minutes from now in the late game. Okay, State? Pig, you guys don't know what you're talking about. I figured out the meta.
Watch him start it up again. Come on, do it. You know you want to. You know you want to, Oliveira.
I like making the tech lab go all bubbly. That's all.
Well, double engineering bait coming in. Third command center already planted at the triangle third here for Oliveira as the Hellions now approaching the third base here of Raynor, looking to get some damage done. They are able to stop these creep tumors and slow Raynor down a little bit. In the meantime, Raynor, it looks like he is going to find this third command center, perhaps not just yet.
Indeed, Hellions are rotating around. Banshee's trying to clean those Zerglings up. Tanks on the way. So it's going to be tanks for Oliveira. No surprise on this map. I mean, this map has some lovely tank positions. There are ledges all over the place and these kind of little high grounds and rocks you can tuck them behind. Double Evolution Chamber's a bit greedy for Raynor, and I like that. I like greedy play. I like get your fast upgrades, you know, go real smooth explosion into the macro.
It was double Evo Chamber after the lair and
after
after the
Bailing. It doesn't look like a Mutalisk build for me, which I'm a little disappointed with, but like I said, the other thing
I guess
I'd like
before
to see
Bailing speed
is a 4-gas mass Zergling play, where you stop at maybe 70 drones, you just massling Bane, and he comes across with Marines, you roll Banes into the natural in the third at the same time, you just look to overwhelm. You kind of wait for the Terran to push out with those pressures and you punish them for it, and so far, 73 drones, mass Zerglings, it's looking like Rain is getting set up for potentially that sort of game.
Yeah, 4 gases, Baneling speed now coming in, a ton of Lings flooding out on only 73 drones. I think he might be playing that. Another hatchery coming in as well, as Raynor's going to have a lot of larvae to work with. And Oliveira now moving across the map. He's adding in the armory to get 2-2. Siege Tank's continuing production right now, and for the first time, moving out with this bio. Small group of Marines, couple of medevacs securing the middle. But
yeah, I like this change of pace from Raynor.
Game number 3, compare this to game 1, compare this to game 2. The Hellions didn't really accomplish the same job they did with other units in game 1 and game 2. Raynor has a pretty healthy spread of creep on site delta, which again, with all these different pathways, it's hard to get a good creep spread going on this map. It requires a lot of APM, it requires a lot of queen energy.
It's actually so labor intensive, man.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest maps to really do it on.
The number of screens you have to go across to spread all those tumors, it actually does take a fair bit more attention than say on Oceanborn, but he's going to be spreading that creep pretty well. You know, he's respread it in the north where he got slowed down before respreading in the south immediately. Up to 78 workers now is Raynor, but you can see not much trading going on yet. The unit's lost tab still very dry as it's been a slower paced style for Oliveira, not committing as much to the aggression. Those Banshees are more of a defensive unit than anything else. You don't really want to lose those, especially without a cloak. And there we go, Burrow and Hive. Okay, so Raynor's not going to go for the counterattack style, but he is going to rush up to Hive. I'd love to see an Ultra transition.
I was going to say, like, Lingbane Ultra makes a little sense for Raynor.
Early enough, it can work really well, but I would imagine Viper's Adrenal Glands, not to mention getting 3-3 is huge. Speaking of which, Raynor has got 1-1, but he's forgotten his 2-2 for a moment, and he will need to get a move on with that because Oliveira's starting to push. Oliveira's got a massive Marine tank and a 4th command center building, but this army is scary.
I'm not sure he forgot it. I think he might be afraid of this push. I think he might want to spend those resources on Banelings
massive
right now.
The walls on the wall! We get it!
But wall is not up. The Lings are flooding. Siege Tank also getting in position on the natural. Now look at these Banelings finding relatively good connections at the third base, but Oliveira's standing army is still a little bit too much. Drones are going to have to evacuate.
Roll in.
Triangle third.
It's all or nothing.
Why I think Raynor doesn't want 2-2. He is all hands on deck trying to stop the tide of Hellbat Banshees. Siege Tanks and all of these Marines flooding in. Wow. Oliveira's army in the front door is huge, but do not forget the counterattack is massive. 43 SCVs have fallen, the number continuing to go up. Oliveira's economy.
That's huge. I mean, whatever Lingbane we can get here, Raynor, he just has to hold.
Absolutely. This is a very intense moment right now. Oliveira has an amazing position, though. He's got ramp control, but if he goes too far forward and those Banelings connect, it's going to be a bad time. Look at this. Baneling nest going down, but he's already restarted it. Raynor is on point right now. Look at this spread he's setting up. He's got a flank going around the left and the north at the same time. Oliveira's reinforcements cannot get to the front. He's trying to move through the middle, but I don't think he's going to get there because he's got to walk across creep to reinforce, and Raynor's going.
He's going for the surround.
On both sides. Raynor sandwiching this army with Ling, Bailing, finding connections on everything Oliveira has. Submarines, the reinforcing Marines.
Oh, the reinforcements.
Pushing forward.
The immediate unload was beautiful. Oliveira says, you just
He's going for it.
Banelings, mate. And he shoves in decisively. Raynor's trying to run away. The drone's trying to get out. He just doesn't have any Banelings. 14 Banelings and 30 Zerglings building. Raynor has 80 drones, but oh gosh, he's got no Baneling nest now. His queen's trying to hold on as best they can. The Banelings
Where are the Banelings?
To rebuild.
Where are the Banelings?
Have 20 workers, but he is obliterating Raynor's economy.
Show us the Banelings.
Raynor's economy is in shambles right now, but so is
Oliveira's.
Where are they? Hits like these ones. There is a chance for him to come back, but still Oliveira, although this army is
That's all he had left.
Injured,
that's it. No more Banelings.
So hard for Raynor to deal with in
this
position.
GG.
Raynor knows he cannot stop the force. The counterattack from Raynor.
He all in.
Massive, but Oliveira persevering with a push in the front is going to bring it to match point.
Wow, what a push from
GG, well played.
Committed a lot to that counterattack.
Oh my god, this round was good. This round was beautiful, but we had reinforcements on the way they made it. They avoided the surround as well.
Or it seemed like he did with the flank. But then, of course, Oliveira's reinforcements arrived. He immediately redropped the Marines that he saved on the first volley. And what a great way to push forward. The fact that Oliveira did all this, by the way, the first fight against the Banelings, pulling back, spreading, moves forward, sieges again, multiple fights against Reynor while he was losing every SCV in his natural and his third. That's really important. It's something we didn't see in the replay, but when the Lynx first came in, I don't know if you noticed this, there was a siege tank popped out, it was on the ramp, and he instantly sieged it, and it created a full wall off, and that actually bought him so much time to get Marines out. If more Lynx got into his production, Oliveira very well may have lost this game.
Oliveira just performing
I'm just like
so
enamored by the
well
replay.
under pressure in these clutch moments. Despite having no economy, he had mustered just enough army to take game number 3. And Reynor, I love the style that he went for. The counterattack was absolutely massive.
But yeah, this was a really interesting shake up here by Oliveira. I mean, Oliveira once again was able to get into a solid economy and build up a death pool of an army. And
so many Hellbats, so many Banshees, siege tanks, and just a wave of Marines.
It felt like Reynor made the correct choice. If you remember, like Reynor, he did like consciously avoid 2-2, right? He was making more Banelings back at him to defend. He had busted into the mineral lines. He had crippled the economy. You could argue maybe the Hive was too much, but even then.
I thought I loved that style for Reynor. I mean, the Ling Bane going for the counterattack so briskly. It's not like
they're going over it.
Sometimes players get forced into a corner and they go for the counterattack. He went for it very quickly, but Oliveira, man, just so quick on the tank siege, spreading Marines deep on creep. How many times have we seen a Terran in that position? They feel forced to stim deep on creep. All the Marines get hit by a few Banelings and suddenly it's lights out. Not so for Oliveira.
There's something about Oliveira at these offline events. Like, unironically, in this TVZ, Oliveira, he's looking like one of the best Terrans in the world. Which is crazy.
Somehow Oliveira just keeps finding his weak
Like, he's looking like top 2 Terran in the world. Like, top 2, second only to Maru. Crazy. This is a wild series.
And this player right here, the Red Zerg, needs your energy if he's to continue this run in the playoffs of DreamHack Dallas. Representing Basilisk Gaming, it is Reynor.
And in the top right side of the map, representing CranKy Gaming. What a beastly run so far. He just needs one more game to secure that spot in the semifinals. In the top right side of the map, everybody give it together for your reigning world champion, Oliveira. Luckily gets one of the longest reigns of any world champion, as we do have an exceptionally long gap between seasons this year around.
Yeah, we talk about this
as well. It's been kind of nice for him to get about a year and a half.
Is the reigning world champion
before he does potentially get dethroned or gets the back-to-back.
I wonder what kind of opening we're going to have from Oliveira. He's shown a variety of different styles in every single game. Game 1, slow and methodical. Just playing as defensively as possible, really, on Oceanborn and weathering the storm of Reynor's non-stop attacks on a, 95+ drone economy for minute after minute after minute. And then in game number 2, he turns that on its head. He doesn't play mass orbital. Instead, he invests those resources into army. He brings the fight to Reynor. And once more, on site Delta coming through with this insane timing attack of Hellbat, siege tanks, even the early game Banshees, culminating with a swarm of Marines able to kill Reynor in these last final moments in such a close battle. What is he going to bring here on Alcyone? I'm kind of leaning towards another push pig, because here on Alcyone, if you're able to control the middle, which I think against a player like Reynor who is exceptional with the creep spread, you often want to do, lest it go out of control. That often leads very well, especially in the Korean meta, to a siege tank push, hammering down the third base that can very quickly spiral out of control for the Zerg.
Hit that 8 racks. I mean, I think we were watching actually, I can't remember who it was Zerg vs Terran series. I think Reynor was actually watching it with us and he was going, look, Alcyon, you know, 8 racks, it's gonna happen. And indeed, the Terran 8 racks on this map with the big Marine tank push, and it was doing really well in that series. So I think it's something Reynor is very aware of on this map, because it is such a strong strategy. And the way to dissect
When I think
that,
of A-Raxing
probably
on
gonna be
Alcyon, I think of
down
Maru
to,
and
you know,
Bjorn. Like,
just
they're
being
very
perfect
fond of
cross
A-Raxes on
defense
this
at
map
the
as
same
well.
time when the Terran shoves forward,
I
because
don't know if
it
Oliveira is that
is
kind of
scary,
player,
man.
though.
Once
Like,
the
we haven't
Terran
seen
gives
any
you such
A-Raxes
good
yet
center control
from
as
Oliveira,
well,
but we'll
you
see.
can branch off from that in many different directions. So I think you've called a very solid strategy. It might be like, oh, well, if we're predicting it, if Rain has talked about it being good on this map, surely it's not that good. But no, sometimes strategies are just that good that it's still worth doing, even if it's a little predictable.
Yeah, the siege tank positioning can be so clutch. And also the way that Oliveira is building up in these games, he's playing a little bit greedier than your typical Terran would, especially a Terran coming out of Asia in the GSL. You almost always see the 2 barracks on the low ground. Oliveira, no, he just goes 1 barracks. He gets to the factory faster to control the creep spread much more quickly here against Raynor. He gets his 3rd command center faster as a result as well. His economy is on fire in the early game. And there was a stretch where me and Tasis were casting, it felt like every TVZ for a period of almost a year. Half the games were these 3CC builds into siege tank pushes on 8 racks.
Yeah.
Just like you're saying. And this is the best map for it. Oliveira is doing one of the best openings for it in terms of greed. And I'm just wondering if that's going to be in the cards here. But
Especially
not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Well, especially if he doesn't go cloak. I'm really with you. Like when he skips cloak, he does like to do that to then hit a timing push a little bit sharper, right? And he's a big fan of skipping cloak. He did it against Raynor back when he won that world championship. He talked about it in his interviews afterwards. He said he copied this off Innovation, an old Innovation build, he said, where you skip cloak and it just gives you that little 100 minerals and 100 gas. He says it doesn't seem like a lot, but often the Zergans
I'm intrigued by this build, by what Oliveira's doing.
They still make a lot of defense, and you still get to use the Banshees as a defensive unit, and that's often their main use, right? Stopping Ling run bys, denying a few creep tumors on the edge, but never overcommitting with them. And what I like is like you don't get lured into overcommitting. You don't have cloak, so you're not tempted to just dive in a worker line and be like, oh, there's no spawn, let's go, and then you lose both Banshees, and you're like, well, that was bad.
Yeah, and oftentimes in those pushes, as we saw in the previous game, just a handful of Banshees, 1 or 2, paired up with the siege tanks, it adds a lot of firepower. It's good at taking down Bailings, it's good about taking down Lings. It gets a lot of damage done.
This is looking like the same build as we just had for Oliveira.
I'm curious to see whether that siege tank production is going to begin, because those double engineering bays, the 1-1 timing, leading into a 2-2 timing, it's often the time that you're going to be looking for Terran to get more aggressive.
Just had inside Delta.
4 barracks in production.
Raynor going for a pretty quick layer there. We haven't really seen too much else in terms of
5 rack
follow-up
setup.
other than the fast 4th base. It looks like yet again another very
Roaches.
play, but the first big diversion. We see a Roach Horn in the production tab. So Raynor is thinking of playing that Roach Ravager into macro style. Now, this is a style where the Roach Ravager is really good for holding off like an early 8 racks, any sort of overly committed fast push, but the weak point is when you're maxed out.
I love this Banshee just trying to get as
much
from
behind!
To set up for the second Banshee on the right side. But yeah, this is not going to happen. A little bit too ambitious is Oliveira. Now that will bring the Queens out of position, Pig, but look at how many Lings we have for Raynor. What a nice surround on the Hellion, dealing a lot of damage.
Looked like a misclick, but it actually worked out really well for Oliveira. I was like, oh no, AFK Hellions, you know, he's away from his keyboard, he's not watching, but actually worked out pretty well. Losing 1 Banshee, not the end of the world.
Thank you for the raid. Thank you, Papa. Thank you. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great time.
Which means Rain is committing quite a bit. Now, he could, if he wants, commit to the old
Fast Armory's on the way. He's going for a Hellbat push.
That's pretty unlikely is that production tab's already telling us this man wants a quick hive. He wants to go back into Banelings after +1 range, probably gets melee upgrades, Banelings.
Armory's on the way. The Hellions, they survived the early push as well.
The Roaches, it's just a way to hold on against the threat of the 8 racks.
But with the Roaches from Raynor, we should be okay.
Claws coming in here for Raynor. I love this against the style that Oliveira is playing, because should Oliveira go for the siege tank push in the middle, these tunneling claw roaches are so good at causing mayhem on the Terran side of the map, but already the Hellions coming through.
He's not building a 4th and 5th reactor. Oliveira is incredibly committed right now.
Yeah.
He's cut worker production already. This is the spirit
He's
push
sending
right
it.
here. It's a fake 3rd command center. Queen's trying to hold the front line. The Roaches don't have roach speed. The Ravagers are still in low numbers. Rain is caught with his back.
No shot.
What a surprising push from
No
Oliveira.
shot.
This is getting in
Oliveira.
so much damage.
He's
The
doing
Queens
it.
roll down.
He's breaking
Rain's in
through.
massive trouble. He biles the tank. It finally falls, but there's no answer to those Marines.
There's nothing else left. The Queens go down. The Roach Ravager goes down as well. Oliveira, he breaks the 3rd.
Done, and Raynor losing a lot of production right now.
Oh my god.
Should start to step.
He's cracked.
He's
crazy.
Too late. These drones really have nowhere to run. More Queens and Roaches reinforcing for the left side. This bio is so low.
Oh my god, it's so close. It's so, he's holding.
Oliveira
oh
was
my
not able
god.
to break him, but that's still a lot of damage done.
Wow, I can't believe it. I mean, this is such a Raynor-esque thing. to be so greedy, to go 6 hatcheries, 5th base on the gold, macro hatch, hive, and double upgrades, and to 75
Yeah,
plus
this is
workers,
huge.
and to still hold against the 53 worker timing. No one else can do this. We've always talked about Reynor being famously greedy. And the thing is, I don't
Like
even
for
know if
Olivera
greedy is the
not
right
to
word,
kill
because if you
Reynor then
always
and
get
there,
away with
Reynor,
it, it's
he is
not greedy,
miles
you can't be
ahead
punished,
now.
is it? That is the
Hive is on the
clutch
way.
ability to hold
Gold
on that
base getting
only Reynor is
saturated.
able to show.
Yeah, now
Oh
he's
my
going up
god,
to
that was his
what will be about
moment, Bobby.
85
That was it.
drones, hive halfway complete.
Going to bed like
Roach
New
speed
Kid
and
Solar.
research, tunneling claws, again, it is
I'll
on
go
the
to bed
board,
after
so
this
we might see
series.
roaches
I'll
start moving across the
join
map
you,
as
Bobby.
soon as
I'll
Reynor
join you.
stabilizes
Get some
back
rest,
at
Bobby. Get
home.
some rest.
And Olivera, he needs to try and find some damage with drops like these. He spots the gold base. He knows that Rainer's economy is going to be out of control, but the thing is, he just lost so much firepower in the middle of the map. Look at the income advantage. I don't know if Olivera can really punish this.
That was such a big push. He wanted to make it look like a standard build, right? It's like, I got my 5 barracks. I'm not even building reactors on my 4th and 5th barracks. I'm just going for the throat. Mass unit production. Let's go, go, go. And, you know, he's got the 8 racks now. He's going to follow up with a big 3-based all-in attack.
Interesting.
He does still find potentially a weak point at a Hive Tech where Reynor's so high on drones. He's got a lot of supply in Roach Ravager. He's having to rebuild his queens.
Yeah, now he's
Creep
8
spread's
raxing.
not amazing, but the Vipers, the Ling Bane as it grows, the massive income advantage. I mean, especially with that gold base going, this does feel to me like Reynor is so far ahead after holding that he should
Should
be
watch
able to pretty much
Shin
just
versus Sarah
aim
Lino
for
on it
Olivera's
then.
army,
I'll watch
do
it from
that,
bed. I'll watch it
swarm
from
over
bed.
it and destroy.
I don't feel like Olivera is going to have enough time to build the army that
Watch
he
from
needs
bed,
to stop
Spat.
Reynor before all of these upgrades kick in, before the Vipers get high in energy, before the Ultras come out on the field as the Ultras Cavern
Yeah,
just got
Yaku
planted
Penan
down,
has been
halfway
popping off.
complete. And should those pair up with +1 Adrenal Lings,
Like,
Banelings
unironically,
with
like, he's-
Lightning Cloud on the siege tanks, I don't know how you take
playing
the
like the best
fight
Terran in the world.
as Olivera with
It's crazy.
such an unrefined army, but this is the one opportunity Olivera has to make it happen before any of those upgrades are complete. He is
Catches the Roach Ravager. Bailey's no more fin.
He might have found the timing pin.
No shot the 8 racks.
Reynor being so greedy, he should not
Only
fight. Reynor
Lings.
has to just run away, make Banelings
No
impatient.
shot. He still
He's got
does
such
it.
a massive worker advantage. He can afford to give up a base or 2. He's just got
60
to make
Banelings, they
those
just finished.
Banelings, which he's not making too many. 16 are done. He's got 5 more morphing. If he can get on top of the Marines,
the
this should
splits.
be a game changer.
The
Bio
splits.
is already triple stimmed. It's so wounded. It's deep on creep. Olivera goes for the throat, but the blinding clouds cover his siege tanks. Most of the Marines do go down.
Liberator sieging right now on top of the Roaches and Ravagers.
Oh my
trying
God.
to stop these units from breaking this position. It seems like Raider is barely going to hold, but the reinforcements streaming in for Olivera, attacking the gold base. Raider might be sustaining too much damage, Big.
Yeah.
He just lost 3 hatcheries. 3 hatcheries go down.
We break
He's
the
got
gold. We
55
break
drones, but
3
nowhere to mine from.
bases.
He's not mining that top left
The
base.
8 rack
Olivera
snowballs
is
out of control.
double the
Raider
upper
too
supply.
greedy.
Olivera with a brutal
The
round
pants.
2. And
They
Raider is
were
being
off.
too greedy, not having
They were
any
never
Banelings
on.
pre-morph. Going to 95 workers on 6
He was
bases.
crazy.
He was going for Vipers, adrenal glands. He was trying to get every single piece he could in the game. He was trying to have his cake and eat it too. And Olivera with round 2 of a desperate all-in. And it was an
I started
all-in.
laddering
And
after
he's just
Ushimoko's
found his
Paydown
fourth
makes me
command
want to ladder.
This had to
True.
kill Reynor, and I can't believe it. It actually found the mark. Olivera, a mixture of passive, turtly, slow play in game 1 and also game 2, but then super decisive timing attacks in game 3 and game 4. Not to mention this one. This is brutal play.
Olivera on the brink of destroying Reynor here and finding his way into the top 4. Reynor is fighting for his life, but I mean, the writing, it feels like it's on the wall. It's only Roaches and Lings in production. Reynor does not know.
Yeah, Rainer is down to 3 hatcheries, down to 57 workers, barely an economy. Reinforcements have arrived, no Banelings.
1 Infestor, he only has 1 Viper on the field and cannot afford to get more. This bio stimming forward is going to stream through all these Lings.
Man, Olivera's been popping off. He sieges up, he's getting on top of the queens. Once he gets blinded, that doesn't even matter. GG!
And the good game well played comes out. Olivera. Sweet victory for the decisive Terran.
Olivera had 1 timing in that game to secure the win. He found it, he took it, and he did not miss. And in what might have felt like an upset, looking back, I don't know if it was. His form is unbelievable right now. Repeating the magic of the past. We have another Terran in the semifinals, and Olivera looks like he might be strong enough to become a champion again.
When you dispose as
I need to hear from this man. I need to hear from Olivera. Give us the interview, Choba. Give it to us.
That's when you know you are on your best form. He is looking fantastic as Olivera. Of course, an unfortunate loss there for Reynor, but that was just so damned impressive. I can't wait to hear from Olivera over on the stage with Chobra.
year later, he's done it again. Oliveira moves on to the semifinals tomorrow here in Dallas. Give it up for Oliveira on his win as he moves on in this tournament. Obviously, huge congratulations. First of all, I just want to hear what's going through your mind right now.
非常恭喜你，李少。想问一下，你现在心情是怎么样的？然后你现在在想的是什么东西？
说实话还挺激动的吧，因为我没想到这次能进4强。当时看到分组的时候，其实感觉已经凉了一半了。然后就我这次来想呢，因为上次我觉得 Stars War 0-3其实对我自己打击挺大的。
Since Stars War,
我觉得这次
he did have a disappointing performance at Stars War 11.
To be really honest, when I see the groups in the winner stage, I thought I'm already finished. Especially after the Stars War, when I was 0-3, I thought everything was over. But look at me now!
Look at him now.
Look at me now. Let's
Whether you
go.
expected it or not, he's standing strong today. So you said that coming into the tournament, you were a little worried. But in today's matchup, it seemed like you came in with some strong ideas just already in each map. Do you think the match went the way you exactly planned, or did you still have to go through a little bit of trouble to beat Rainer today?
I like that question.
虽然你知道这边现在今天的比赛比较麻烦，但是你像今天
I want to know
最
like
终
if
的
the
结果
like
有
what
没有
kind of
跟你的设
preparation.
计或者一开始的准备没差多少，还是说还是有东西超出了你的预期
I don't think he's gonna go into like the thought process of like
开打之前我就觉得
build
这次
orders
打差不多5-5开吧，因为我们两个
and
其实也有
picking
练
them
习。
and choosing
然后
play styles,
其实
but I
跟
would
Cyro 练的
want
比
to
较
know.
多。我觉得只要能发挥出跟 Cyro 打的时候的那种状态，就今天拿下比赛应该没什么问题。
Actually, we have been practicing a lot together, and also I feel like it's always 50-50. And I have always been practicing with Zero, and I believe before the match that if I play as well as I have been playing Zero, then I could win this quarterfinal.
Okay, well, you were able to show it on stage. Now, we'll keep this last question short, but a lot of people have been saying this seems very familiar to last year, the run at Katowice. Do you think you're going to be able to go all the way again this weekend here in
They're
Dallas?
great again.
有一种
It's not the answer that I wanted, but
啊，
sure.
你觉得你今天在达拉斯有没有像您那个23年的时候在卡托维兹一样的，能进入决赛最终夺冠？
其实对我来说吧，有一句话说得好，夺冠之后是小说的结局，之后才是真正的人生。所以，我觉得这次对我来说，其实无所谓，就是不管输赢，我都会好好打的。
I have to be honest. After winning a championship, that is the end of the story. But what comes after is life, and it's the long journey forward for all of us.
All right, well, we'll see how it ends. Obviously, for now, it does move on. Once again, give a big round of applause to Oliveira as he moves on.
Oh,
now,
hit the
of course, we're
line.
not done just yet because
You
this
see that?
match determined that one of these players would be
Everyone
moving
told me
on
to
as a
retire.
spot into the
Everyone
Esports
told me
World
to give
Cup,
up, but
and
look
it
at me
is going
now.
to be Oliveira. So we do have the signing ceremony to secure that spot here for the Esports World Cup. So Oliveira, if you could please leave your signature as you secure your spot at the Esports World Cup. And once again, a big round of applause for Oliveira as he qualifies not only to the Esports World Cup, but also the round of 4 here in Dallas. Big congratulations to you, Oliveira. And for now, we'll send it back to the desk to review that absolute banger of a match.
Is the world champion back? Is it Magic Round 2?
GG. Hello, good morning, Babylings. Good morning. Unironically, if you missed out on this series, I recommend watching it. This was the best series of the tournament. So far, 100% the best series. This is crazy.
And then also he said he was practicing against Cyril. That could potentially be his opponent in the round of 4. What? It could be happening.
You know what is happening though, James?
Huh?
Life. It goes on. It comes after championships.
That was an interesting answer. Correct. I was confused.
I just really the highlight for me. Absolutely fantastic series. What a way to show up. You know, a lot of people are thinking, even us were like, man, he came in, won a couple best of 3s, quarterfinals. Can he go any further? Man, he just put on a clinic.
Yeah, like,
so aggressive. He does not back
Oliveira
down
was
from
such a
any
sleeper
kind of
here.
fight.
Like, no one was expecting Oliveira to look this good. Especially, like, I like that even Oliveira mentioned Stars War 11. Like, Stars War 11 was brutal. It was a little bit
actually, when he won.
It was a little bit disappointing as well. Like, I don't know, like there was a lot of hype around Oliveira, especially for Star Wars 11. Like he's playing in front of his own home crowd, and Skillus looked so dominant there. But for Oliveira to come out in the winners match, to look so strong in TVP, to dominate here against Rainer, I said it before. Gonna stand by it. The way that Oliveira played this out, he looked better than Clem, looked better than Bjorn. Like he looked like he looked top tier. Unironically, he looked like one of the best Terrans in the world in this series, in this TVZ. It was crazy. Absolutely insane. Like I'm a little bit in shock. I've been shocked by what we just saw. That was crazy.
No, absolutely. And Rain now, unfortunately, he is out of the tournament here. Obviously, when it comes to potentially qualifying for the Esports World Cup, there is the points that will go.
I watched it. It made me sad. Ah,
Smooch. There is a close qualifiers as well, but we'll see how that all unfolds in the coming time. But Oliveira, what do you think his prospects are here? He's got to go up against Shin or Serral here.
This makes me want to see Oliveira versus Serral. Like just because he's talking about like his practice against Serral. Like I still favor Serral against Oliveira. But I would love to get like insights or like a glimpse of what they look like against each other.
What if Shin beats Serral again and then Oliveira goes on to win? Because that's what happened in that kind of
right? Yeah,
so you know it's.
Does Shin beat Serral?
Just takes down Reno like that, and then he's just gonna flop, right? You would expect him to have a good shot. Yes, if Shin moves on over Serral, I give him a better shot. If Serral moves on, I think it's going to be tough. But he can do it, man. Like, if he can take Serral away from some of those comfort zones, then I think that's huge. And he clearly plays in such a way that does that. And if you can do that, it makes your whole life a lot easier.
Yeah, I feel like a big part about what you have to pay attention to with how Oliveira played is that it wasn't just strategic victories. It wasn't, oh, he went for the right build order against what Rainer was doing and just got a massive lead and carried that into a victory. No, he was just playing really mechanically solid, making the right choices with his army and how aggressively he was pushing. Those are the kind of things that actually can contend with Serral. I feel like players that just try to go for the strategic wins versus Serral, that's where they end up kind of falling because
like what Robbie is saying is like
just really good mechanically. He makes up.
Is what I'm trying to emphasize. Like it wasn't just like strategy. It wasn't just builds. It wasn't just decision making. But it was like the mechanical play as well. Like it was crazy.
And of course, we are going to be going to a break in a few moments' time. But before we do that, I do need to remind everybody there is a signing session that is going to be going on tomorrow at 10 a.m. And you know what? I pulled some strings. I even got myself a graphic.
Missed the first 2 games. I recommend.
I've got a lot of money to spare.
We have done so many signing sessions. Not once have I seen a graphic on the broadcast. This is the most biased thing. I want to know how much.
Look at me!
I want to know how much State and Chobra paid in to be on with you.
Well, that is exciting when he's in form.
That I remember for State and
Very
Chobra
much
and
so.
the talent announcement.
Like the crowd was going crazy for Oliveira.
Look, right, let's be real. The King of Krakow has got deep pockets, right? I pulled some strings that made it happen. Look at that lush ginger beard. 10 a.m. tomorrow before the tournament. I don't know why I'm doing it like this. All right, thank you very much, boys. We're going to go to a break. When we return, don't go anywhere. It is Shin going up against Serral for the final match of the day.
Yeah, I agree with what they were saying in the sense that I can see Shin beating Serral. I think if Shin beats Serral, Oliveira might just be the champion. Like straight up. If Shin beats Serral. If Serral beats Shin, then Serral probably wins the whole thing. Like he's still the favorite. I would love to see Oliveira versus Serral, but I still think Serral still probably just wins the whole thing and takes it. But this EVZ, there's a lot riding behind it. There's a lot behind this EVZ. It's gonna be crazy. GG. GG. Oh my god. The normal man does it. He does it, bud. He does it. Look at me now.
We are here again with me and him, and we are playing the Summon Target 2 player game.
Alright. I think I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed, buddy. Good morning. For those that may have just woken up, good morning. We've been casting since what? Last night? Midnight?
Check here what I want to do.
Been what?
Okay, you ready?
10.5 hours. Not 12 hours yet. Not 12 hours. But like around 10.5, 9.5 hours. I'm gonna go pass out.
Okay, do we turn that around?
I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go pass out. I'm gonna hopefully wake up in time for OC. OC King of the Hill is in like 12 hours time, so we got plenty of time to sleep. I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna get some rest. I'm gonna be watching Shin versus Serral from bed. Gonna watch it in bed. But I'm really curious to see how this goes because I can see Shin beating Serral. I think I might think that I might be in the boat of maybe Shin being the player that has the highest chance of beating Serral amongst all players currently in the tournament. I think Shin might be the one. And if it isn't Shin, I don't think anyone can. But but we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, we'll see about that.
We'll
3,
see.
2, 1.
How much?
Piotr has 84.
Dark has 88.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he has 88.
The final two is a bit odd.
Yeah, he's a dead now.
A bit.
He's built like
a little bit. Alright, I'm gonna head off. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. Thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate it. Do appreciate it with the co-stream. Is anyone streaming right now? Can we raid anyone?
Oof, I have a big brain player right here. On my right hand.
Can we raid anyone?
This is not too good.
Stop yapping and make up your mind. What is this? I tell you, you cannot beat this guy.
Is he that good?
Yeah, you cannot beat him.
3, 2, 1. Oops.
Oh, that's a fail. What is this?
It's Astria.
88?
Anyone live? We'll give it to Allmate Steadfast.
I'm 87.
Oh my
Steadfast is streaming.
Astria. What the hell?
was my
the
backup card.
NA's coming in clutch. What the hell?
That's what I like to see.
Speed.
Unfortunately, my players aren't fast.
Really?
Yeah,
okay, we'll give it to Steadfast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the support. We'll see you guys tomorrow for OC King of the Hill. Till then, bye. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hey, Joe.
To throw it out.
Okay, let's go.
You tried to bait me.
71.
It's my boy Oliver. He's 83 speed.
Yeah.
I got you. Easy money.
Had to play it a bit.
You misplayed here for sure.
Well, I'm not so sure.
My boys here. These 3, they're my boys.
Yeah, you have some good ones left for
you
sure.
You cannot beat them, I swear.
So what do we have next? Macro. I'll just have to go with this player.
I'm telling you, there's no way you win this one. He's a macro monster.
We'll see. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. How much do you have? I have 96. Nice try. My boy Maru has my back. And this is the easiest game of my life.
Well, are you winning 3-2
Good,
or what's the score? I already forgot.
Good choice for